Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
God.
Hey, everybody!
Hey! Yeah!
We're back! Woo! Did everybody have a good Memorial Day weekend?
It was
Beautiful.
blissful.
Beautiful. I'll be honest though. I said to my wife at some point yesterday, I was like, man, I wish we were doing a show today.
You told me that earlier
I'm
today.
missing it.
Wow.
Yeah, I never said that once.
I did not have that
I love
same
you guys, but I
feeling.
never said that once.
It did feel a little weird. I was
Right?
like, okay,
Monday.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I'm Jay Crawford. Later in the show, I am going to talk, we're all going to talk, about an absolute head-scratching contract from the Cleveland Browns. What are they thinking?
Later on in the show, I'm going to let you know that there is a major difference. People have taught me there's a major difference between barbecues and cookouts. I had no idea.
Wow, that'll be interesting.
All right.
I'm actually going to talk about, I was going to talk about something else, but now I just found out that Garrett here met his wife and married her 3 days after actually meeting her. That's when he got engaged.
Speedy Gonzalez.
And I think we have to address that.
I do too. At some point,
I don't care what else we were supposed to was on the schedule. That's
Yes.
the most interesting thing on the docket today.
No doubt.
And he dropped it literally
Yeah.
20 seconds before the show
Yes.
started.
Yeah.
I
lost my eyes almost popped out.
I lost my breath.
They're like, what you talking about? For
Good
real?
Lord. Sounds like quite a tale.
It's a hell of a story.
Adam, what do you got?
I am a Mac Commissioner, Dr. John Steinbrecher, and we got another problem here. A big fight between Mac schools, Kent
Boom.
State, Ohio. This is a problem.
Had
I'm
I
trying to
known,
mediate.
I would have worn my Bowling Green
Yeah, you
stuff.
should've.
I had no idea we were going Mac
The
Pride.
battle of Halloween parties.
That's true.
Which is best.
Oh my
Yeah,
God! Yeah,
yeah.
I've been to both.
My vote goes to OU. I don't know what things are like these days, but
Yeah.
in the late '80s,
I still go every year,
Hey.
and no, I don't really. What if I went to Halloween every year at college? No, you win. OU wins Halloween.
Yeah.
OU is the biggest party school in Ohio, isn't it?
yeah, it used to be one of the biggest in the country.
Yeah.
I think Arizona has since
Wisconsin is pretty good.
Wisconsin.
Do you hear that, potential employers? OU is the biggest party school in Ohio.
As if you're hiring a party planner,
Yes.
that might be great.
At least
Otherwise,
they can multitask though. They can drink and have to have stringent, grades. You have to.
Yep.
you
Yeah,
can't
that's
just show
true.
up.
That's the
And
way to
get
go.
married quickly, apparently.
Yes.
Man.
we're definitely getting into it. Let's start with the Browns. Greg Newsome, who was on this program a couple of weeks ago, we love him. He's got a very, very high bar for the Cleveland Browns defense this year. Listen to what Greg Newsome told Cleveland.com about how good this Cleveland defense could be. We're capable of whatever we want. Our goal is to be the #1 defense in the whole NFL. Bull, is that crazy talk or is that realistic?
No, I don't think it's crazy talk at all. I mean, every year, defense is so unpredictable from year to year.
Yep.
Like if you play, I'll take it to fantasy because everybody loves fantasy football, right?
Woo!
When you play, Mike, do you play fantasy football?
I do,
All
poorly.
right, good. Think about you always know the biggest dummy in the league because it's the guy who drafts defense first.
Yep.
Because you can never predict whose defense is good. See, offense is easier to predict because you know who the quarterback is.
Right.
And if he's good, your offense is usually going to be
I
good.
think there's a couple of usual suspects that are going to be in the top 3 or 4.
For defense or quarterback?
For defense, I always feel
But-
like, if you look at their usual suspects,
Yeah.
they tend to stay up there for a couple of years.
But
but outside of like 3 or 4, to me, it's just a
Yeah,
jump.
but even that 3 or 4, they could drop to 8 or 10. I don't know that they're always in the top 5. It really rotates, whether it's fantasy or reality. And the reality is that the Browns' defense for the second half of last season was a top 10 defense.
They were great last year.
The back end of the
Yeah.
top 10,
Yeah.
but they were a top 10 defense. In my estimation at this point, I don't think there's a single defense in the league that is elite. There's the days of the great 85 Bears or those Giants teams back in the day or the Ravens with Ray Lewis. That doesn't exist. I don't think unless they change football again, which they shouldn't, it'll ever exist again. I think we're going to have rotating, even the Seahawks from a number, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. The Browns are in the mix to be one of the best defenses. Now, there's certainly questions at linebacker. There's certainly questions up front, especially at tackle. And there's questions of health in the secondary because they do have a number of injury-prone guys. But if the Browns catch some breaks, which, to be honest, they didn't last year, they were low in turnovers from the defense.
I think turnover margin is the most underrated stat in all of football.
In a way, it's kind of random,
and you can't rely
though.
on that you're always going to get
exactly.
them.
They got unlucky last year, so leads me to believe maybe they'll get lucky this year. Sure. They got unlucky with some injuries last year. Maybe they'll get lucky this year. There's no guarantee, but certainly if the Browns stay healthy and they figure it out at defensive tackle, there's no reason they couldn't be.
Right.
I don't know that I predict them for sure, but
you're saying.
It's a possibility.
Mike,
yes.
what do you think? Do you think that they could be the top-ranked defense?
First of all, it just made me happy because you reminded me. You'd much rather have them be better at the second half of the year than the first half of the year.
Absolutely.
That's great that that's where they were. That seems to be the direction they were going in. I don't know whether they're going to be top. I mean, if you look it up, I looked it up just out of curiosity to see who are they saying is going to be the top defense next year. And, of course, they have Buffalo up there, which is unsurprising. And I think they have the Packers up there, too. And L.A. They have L.A. up there.
Yeah,
of course, the Rams.
Yeah.
And so, but you're right. You don't know. Some team's going to sneak up there. And it always surprises you. Some team just comes out of nowhere with their defense, and I hope that's the case. I was more focused on the fact that he made these statements, and how do you feel about the fact that he's making these statements? Do you like these bold proclamations?
Got no problem with it.
You got no problem with it.
I think we make too big a deal when guys say we're going to be great or we're going to win a game, and who cares? What do you want? I don't want the guy to say we suck or we're not very good. I want him to be confident, especially a guy who's played well, and there's reason to be confident. Yes.
I like it in the macro. I like it in the macro. Here's what I don't like. You're getting ready to play Cincinnati, and on Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, you pop off and say,
we're going to take that
I
ball
don't think
away
the
6
receivers
times.
are all that good.
No, that's stupid.
I hate that kind of bold proclamation.
That crosses over from confidence to stupidity.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I can take either one. I can take the humility thing. We're just going to keep. We're not thinking about who's the best. We're just going to go out and prove it.
Right.
And I like the confidence. Both can work. I think either one of those can work.
Yeah.
It's just the one does look stupid if you make those bold proclamations and then you go out and get your ass handed to you.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah. That's not good at all. Are the pieces there, G. Bush?
Yes, the Browns will be a top 3 defense this year.
Top 3?
Top 3. And the reason is it's just continuity. And I'm not a big fan of continuity, just saying it for the sakes of saying continuity. But just think about it. We've been on the show a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
Think about where you were the first week and think about where you are now.
Right.
You know people, you're more comfortable. They can throw more things at us. We can put graphics on. We got people. Sound and audio is getting better every single day.
I like the analogy.
So now you go out here and you look at the situation with the Cleveland Browns. They brought everybody back except for maybe the 2 defensive tackles.
Right.
So you look at what they can do.
Well, they did lose Hill in the back end of the defense.
Right, they traded him.
Yes.
But all their key players on defense, you're right, all their key players on defense are all returning players. Without exception.
Delpit is in his second year after the surgery. He should be better. I think it was a big breakout year for him.
Yeah.
You also look at Greedy Williams, played well last year. He's back. All your secondary, JOK had some injuries last year, but he's a rookie. Right. So now guess what Joe Woods can do? He can now throw more at you. Instead of you learning stuff, these guys are out there putting packages in 2-3 weeks, blitz packages, moving Ronnie Harrison down. He even showed up and came back again. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons they're excited about it is when we talk about Jadeveon Clowney, when he showed up at camp, he was supposed to come later. You know how he get down. He's like, I ain't trying to do none of this. Yeah. But when Jadeveon Clowney showed up and was back at camp, I think people was like, oh, we're real. I think we can do something because everybody's locked in right now. Yeah. And there was one caveat. Bull, you said it. The defensive tackle. They could figure out if you can get me in Ndamukong Suh or a guy of that ilk, I think the Browns we ready to go.
Yeah, he just got me excited. I'm sorry, one more thing he just got me excited about was we do have a lot of loaded potential hidden talent on this team still that hasn't been realized yet.
Sure.
Greedy Williams really only has 1 year under his belt because of his injury year. Haven't seen Delpit much at all. And now we got JOK with 1 more year of experience. Yep. I mean, that kid's going to be scary. He already had stuff figured out more than most rookies last year. Yeah. Imagine with a year under his belt.
And John Johnson was a disappointment last year. Yeah. I expect him to be a lot better. He was great with the Rams. Yeah. He was average at best last year. Second year in the system, he should be a lot better.
I like Walker a lot. I mean, they were dinged last year on the defensive side. It seems like every week they were rolling out with 2 starters that couldn't play.
Yes.
If you'd asked this question of me 2 weeks ago, I would have said no. I think they're a solid top 10 defense. I don't think they have the potential to lead the way. If you're the NFL's best defense, I know that you're saying it's kind of fluky and it does have so much to do with turnovers, but if you're the NFL's top-ranked defense, you're giving your team a chance to win no matter who you play every week out. I'm not quite sure we're to that point, but I will say this. With the signing of Clowney, I think they are ready to be a top 5 defense. And if things break their way, because again, I think so much of it is health and turnovers.
Yes.
But if things break their way and they stay healthy and they can get the turnovers, which sometimes you all know they're flukes. But if you can get the turnovers and stay healthy, I think they can be a top 3, or who knows, maybe even lead the league in defense, because I think they're more what we saw in the back half of the season than they were the first half of the season.
Yeah, and we knew it was going to take time because there were so many new faces last year. This year, no new faces, or at least not in key spots. I mean, think about it. 9 of the 11 starters, and in my mind, there's 5 guys in the secondary and only 2 linebackers that I'm thinking about as starters, and that's Walker and JOK.
Right.
The 5 guys in the secondary and the 2 defensive ends. Those 9 players are all returners. They all have more experience. Now, again, the injuries could sabotage it, but in those 9 spots, there's not much weakness. Like, those are 9 at least solid players, and in some cases spectacular
What about
players.
depth, though? Because so often, especially
That's
on the front line,
Yes.
you're rotating guys in. We've seen this
No
the
doubt.
last decade in the NFL. They try to keep guys fresh. You need backup players that can come in and play 15, 20 snaps a game and spell the starters. I'm a little concerned about our depth on the front. I think on the back of the defense, I like it. On the front of the defense, I don't like our depth.
Yeah,
They
I
have some
agree.
talent. They got a little talent up there. It's just the fact that the talent is unproven. Jordan Elliott, Tommy Togiai. We don't know what they're going to.
What's Winfrey gonna be?
What's Winfrey going to be? They addressed it in Taven Bryan. He's coming in and he's going to play. But I don't know if he's going to be penciled in as the number 1 3 technique off bat. So they got a couple of people up there.
I think Winovich
Sheldon
outside
Day.
is some depth right
I
there,
like-
right?
yeah, I
He's
like
got
that
some
move.
potential, especially
Yes.
as like a third pass rusher.
Yep.
I would still like to see, like they did last year, was it Malik Jackson they brought it? Was it Malik Jackson?
Yeah.
I would like to see them make a move like that still. Bring in a veteran for $1 million.
He had some huge games.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that one. They don't have any veteran presence in the middle of that D-line. At this point, anybody you're signing is $1 million, it's barely above the minimum.
Sure.
Go add a guy like that into the mix with those young players to A, add to your depth, and B, be there if the young players don't pan out.
And Bull, I think this is the exact reason why a lot of people are saying if Deshaun Watson gets a suspension in the first 4, if he gets 4 games, I don't think no one in Cleveland is blinking. 4 games, you look at the way the schedule breaks.
Right.
They're playing teams like the Jets is starting off, and if you got a defense and a running game, all you need Jacoby Brissett to do is make a couple passes.
Yeah, don't screw it up. Don't turn it over. Don't screw it up.
Yep.
And they could come through that, even with a backup quarterback, they could come through that 3-1.
Easy.
If things go their way.
Yeah,
They could run the first 4.
And even if you did go 2-2, you could survive that.
Yeah, sure.
2-2. Now,
Absolutely.
if the suspension's longer, it's a different story.
I do think we should take a moment and recognize something that we don't take a step back and maybe appreciate enough because we've had some good fortune over the last couple of years. Can you think about how terrible this defense has been since you've even been here? Just
my God.
think of some of the players that we've tried to get excited about. Think about some of the people we had starting at cornerback at certain times, and the fact
And we
that
talked ourselves into maybe,
Yes.
maybe
Yeah,
they're going to play a lot better than they ever have in their entire career.
in history.
When we overpaid them to come
Yes,
here.
and the fact that we are now just I kind of don't like our depth at linebacker right now.
That's a
What
good
a nice
problem to
place
have.
to be
I
in.
mean, we would
Thank
start
God.
Jason Trusnick,
Oh, don't.
Brian Bowdy Calhoun.
Oh, don't Calhoun us.
Well, I can't even think of that. Who was that? 5, 6, 7 years ago, they signed that white dude from the Ravens, a defensive lineman. We paid him a boatload of money.
Your boy. I
can't even think of his name.
What is? Oh goodness, he had
left
one
quite
move.
the impression
And he
on all
was
of
good
us.
with the Ravens because
He
he had
had-
all this talent around him.
Oh,
and he's-
Paul Kruger.
Yeah,
Oh, Kruger, that's right.
I mean,
nice guy.
It's a great
he was
point.
done
Like the
when he got
Browns
here.
for a lot of years, even in the last decade, it was like they had Joe Hayden.
Who was that? Who was
they had
that?
DeQuell Jackson.
DeQuell Jackson.
And that was about it.
Who's the cornerback that played cornerback for us for 8 years and is always backing everybody up? I can't believe I'm spacing on it right now. It was a nightmare to see him in
Why is
there.
that not coming?
It's all right. I'll think of
Yeah.
it during the break.
It's all
By that I mean
The
I'll
fact of the
Google it
matter
during
is
the break.
we've got some guys now.
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and
Leon
if we're
McFadden.
arguing that the unit everybody here agrees isn't the strength of this team, can be in the top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah.
If the offense lives up, you can see why there's huge expectations around this football
No
team
doubt.
this year, because I think everybody here would, without even hesitation, say, "Oh, this team is offensive driven." That's where the majority of the stars are. And if everything goes their way and Watson plays, they're going to score points.
No
so
doubt.
if you're talking about a top 5, even a top 10 ranked defense, this team's going to win double-digit games.
But there will be some adjustment for the offense. As good as Deshaun Watson is, he's working with a new coach. He's working with players he's never played with before.
Sure.
No matter how good you are, except for maybe Tom Brady, there's an adjustment. So I like with the defense last year, I would expect the Browns' offense to be much better in the second half of the year than the first half.
Yeah.
They're really talented. I'm not saying they're going to be bad in the first half of the year, but they'll be better once the chemistry develops.
Like the defense last year.
Yes.
It's tough to, in the AFC North, man.
It's tough.
When you're playing Joe Burrow twice a year, you're playing Lamar Jackson, and they stress you out in different ways. Like, the Baltimore Ravens, trust and believe, will go back to what they do. They're going to run Lamar Jackson to death.
Yeah.
They're going to run those running back. J.K. Dobbins is going to be back. They invest up front.
Both their running backs.
Both of their
Edwards.
back.
Gus
Edwards is
Yeah.
back. He's a load. And then you look on the other end of the spectrum, the Cincinnati Bengals, I think, stress you more than anybody vertically as far as the passing game. They got I think they got the best receiving core in the division.
Without
bar
doubt.
none.
Yeah.
Without
and
question.
Joe Mixon is a top 1 or 2 back in the division. So they could do a lot. I mean, the Bengals are going to be great, not to mention Joe Burrow is who he is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be tough to say that they're going to be a top 3 defense, especially given the fact that they're going to play Tom Brady. They're going to play Josh Allen,
Right.
and they're going to play Justin Herbert. It's going to be a lot of
Guys,
the
Browns could play great, the Bengals could play great, the Ravens could play great, and one of them could still miss the playoffs.
With
because
double-digit wins.
Right. The AFC West is loaded. We know how good the Bills are. Depending on Tua, I'm not a big Tua guy, but I think the Dolphins have a really good roster.
Their defense is phenomenal.
And they got, they added A.J. Brown to go with, what's his name?
I don't think Tua's going to
No,
make it,
A.J.
guys.
Brown's on Philly. They
I don't
added,
think Tua's going to make it.
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill.
They added Tyreek
and
Hill.
they got Jalen Waddle. So
And Jalen Waddle.
Two of the fastest dude in the game. And
I'm not a
Tua,
believer.
right?
I'm not a believer in Tua.
I don't think you can add these Mercedes-Benz on each side, and I just don't think he's going to be able to get the
Probably
ball to him.
not, but like
he hasn't
the
looked
AFC
like
is
he's
just so good.
Why would
Right, you
I
got a
know
few really terrible teams. We know the Jets are terrible. We know the Texans are terrible.
and now Russ is in Denver.
And Russ is the whole AFC West. Derek Carr's the worst quarterback in the AFC West.
I don't want to
and
say
he's really
this.
good.
I don't want to say this, but
Yeah.
I just thought, I'm like, man, I mean, Baker Mayfield looked good in Miami, dog. Like, I was just sitting there thinking, like, did they draft a guy?
I mean, if you're the Dolphins, you can't give
See,
up on
the
Tua for
thing is-
Baker.
The deal there is the owner is all in on Tua.
Yeah.
And because of that, I don't think they're ready to make a change. But I think after this year, when he's added pieces, I still don't think Tua is going to be able to make that leap.
Yeah.
His mechanics, everything
Terrible.
about him reeks good college quarterback, not able to make the
kind
transition
of reminds
to the
me of
NFL.
Tim Tebow.
Well,
The mechanics are not that bad.
Well,
His mechanics are not that bad, but
they're
bad.
bad. No, they're bad.
He doesn't
big,
look like an
long,
NFL
looping
quarterback.
delivery.
Yeah,
It takes
terrible.
forever
This is
to
going to
get rid
make
of
you
the
guys
football.
feel good, real quick. 2016 defensive starters for the Cleveland
Oh,
Browns.
beautiful.
2016, not
Okay.
long ago.
Yeah.
All right. Desmond Bryant, Randy Starks, Danny Shelton. Remember Danny
He
Shelton?
was great
Bless his
jumping on
heart.
piles. Still in the NFL.
Paul
by the way.
Kruger, Carlos Dansby, Craig Robertson, Nate Orchard, Traymon Williams, Tashawn Gibson. Guys.
Deshaun Gibson was a solid player.
Yes.
For a year.
And Carlos Dansby had been a good player, but he was washed up.
We got a
That's
lot
the
of that.
problem.
We got a lot of
used
that.
to get
Right.
guys
Yep.
like
And we-
that
and we
all
pay
the
him
time.
$40 million.
Oh, he was great with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And you bring him over, and you're like, what happened to that guy?
They come here to
Oh, he's old.
retire.
And he doesn't have any cast of characters
Yeah.
around him.
And the reality is, I
Thanks
was a
for
big
that, Mike.
Deshaun
We needed
Gibson
that.
guy, but he wasn't even that good, Deshaun Gibson.
Why would
No.
you
He
even buy
went
tickets to see
elsewhere and did nothing.
You were
So-
just excited.
He looked good because he
Here.
was playing with a bunch of guys.
Right,
He
he
was
made a lot of
confident. He stood out.
tackles
Yeah.
and, you know.
All right, well, we're going to change the gears now, and it is time for our Tuesday version of Seeing Red.
Oh, look at him.
I look so
Look how
mad.
murderous he
I
looks.
look so mad with those fake growls. No. I look like I'm really angry. in
What
that
was
thing.
your motivation when you were shooting those?
I don't know. I had no motivation. I
None
was thinking about
whatsoever.
Baker Mayfield. That's what it was.
I remember
I just made that up.
That makes sense.
Let me tell you something. So this weekend, I decided to do some random tweeting about the Cleveland Guardians. Okay? I was frustrated after they lost Saturday. I didn't like the way they played that game. I put up this tweet. Guardians have now lost 10 of their last 14, and most of those games have been mediocre or bad teams. And I got a million responses from fans saying, well, what did you expect? What did you expect? They're a young team. We didn't think they'd be any good. But what do you mean, what did I expect? First of all, I'm just putting out some factual numbers. They've lost 10 of 14.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you do that on Twitter. They're going to come for you.
What did I expect? I don't know. Not to lose 10 of 14 when you play the Reds and the Tigers and the Royals?
Yeah, it's bad.
I don't think they played the Royals, but that's not the point.
They are now.
Yeah, they are now. So I expect them to win some games, right? I expect them to at least be somewhere around 500, especially with the way the start they got off to, and it's been disappointing. And the other annoying part of that drove me crazy. Well, they're a young team, Bull. They're going to be blah, blah, blah in a couple of years or whatever. We've been hearing that about their offense for years.
Yep.
We heard about Clint Frazier. We heard about Bradley Zimmer. We heard about Nolan Jones, who hasn't even been able to make it to the majors. We heard about Bobby Bradley. We heard about Oscar Mercado. We heard about Daniel Johnson. I could go on and on. None of these guys have panned out. None.
Right.
Not a single one of the. Now, I'm not saying that I'm writing off Stephen Kwan or any of these young guys.
Or Franmil Reyes, too.
None of them. I'm not writing off any of them except Oscar Mercado I've written off. That's the one guy of the group. The rest of these guys, yes, I want to give them a chance, but you can't just say, well, they're young. Well, okay, maybe they shouldn't have a lineup that's got 8 young guys and waste this great talent.
But that's what happens when you're a low-budget team.
But there's no excuse for them. That's when you say, well, they're all young, it's basically giving a pass to the owner for the situation.
Sure.
And that's not acceptable. A lower payroll, fine. Their payroll is a joke.
It is a joke.
And there's no excuse that can be made. Their payroll should be minimal, double of what it is. Again, I'm not asking them to have the Yankees or the Dodgers payroll. I'm just saying every team in baseball should have a $100 million payroll.
Those teams spend $4 to $5 for every dollar the Guardians spend.
Yes.
You should never have that big of a gap.
Yes, no.
That disparity, you need
you'll
a
hear,
floor and you need a ceiling.
You'll hear people say, when you say that, but it doesn't guarantee that they're going to win anything. And it's like, no, you buy competitiveness.
No, you know what it guarantees? It guarantees you're not going to suck.
Competitiveness.
For the most part.
You buy
You're going to be competitive. Yes, once you get to the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. It doesn't matter at that point.
I will say this. Oscar Gonzalez looks tremendous. I know it's only 5 games or whatever he's been up.
Yes.
He looks like a major league talent. He's a big guy. He's aggressive swing.
Yeah.
He's hitting the hell out of the ball so far.
Yes.
And I think, and God, I'm such an optimist. You think
I know.
I'm like 190 pounds of scar tissue.
Yeah.
I can't even believe I'm going to say this.
Oh boy.
In Terry, I trust. It's always
I do
guys,
too.
It's always June 1st, right? They're 8 games under 500.
Yeah.
And then June 1st happens, and Terry figures it out, and then they go off. Bieber looked like Bieber in his last start.
He did. Plesac was all right.
Plesac looked great last night.
Yeah.
The young kid, who we couldn't think of his name, he pitched again last night. Had a 1-2-3-7.
Yes.
Still can't. Morgan. Eli Morgan.
By the way,
Why did he come out
I was
for the
just
8th
going to
inning?
say that. He had thrown like
10 pitches. 10 pitches and 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, and by the way, as you love Francona, I love Francona. It's still okay to criticize his decisions once in a while.
It is. And
I love Francona.
last night I thought Eli Morgan looked as good as he did last week when we talked about him.
Yeah,
he had a 10-pitch 7th.
Yeah.
Struck out 2 guys.
Yes.
They go to the bullpen for the 8th inning, and 3 hitters later, a 3-1 game is tied with a guy on second.
And that's, what's his name? Not Sandlin.
Sandlin came in after.
It was, I just tweeted about him.
This show should be called "It's Right on the Top of My Tongue."
Who came in before? Whoever it was.
Almost had it.
I tweeted about him last night too, and now I can't think of his freaking name.
We'll figure it out.
He's been terrible. I gotta look at my tweets.
I think
it's gonna drive me nuts.
I think Bull's larger point, though, is
Yeah.
it's sad that we have to be sifting through all of these things to try and find these diamonds and these positive things
you're
and
right.
hope that somebody finally
But that's
catches
where we
fire.
are. That's where the Cleveland
That
Guardians
is where we are. But we have fans justifying it by saying, "Hey, they're young. What are you going to do?" It's
you made that point earlier. That's not an excuse.
No, it's not.
And you know what? I keep hearing this on the broadcasts, and I love the Guardians broadcast team. I really do. I think Matt and Rick do a great job, but they have pounded home this point, and the pregame and postgame show too. The Guardians' average age is younger than the average AAA team.
What's that tell you?
Okay,
Is that
that's
an
not a
advertisement?
good thing.
No.
By the way, the Twins have the 3rd youngest team in baseball. How they doing?
Yeah, I know. Well, we're chasing them.
3rd or 4th, whatever. They're
chasing
one of
them.
the youngest.
Guys,
That's not an excuse.
Well,
and by the way, you should have known that.
Who was the pitcher? Did you figure out?
Stephen.
Yes,
Yeah.
Stephen.
Right.
3
He's been
hitters.
terrible.
3 hitters, 2 extra base hits, 3 hits.
Yeah,
It
and
was
it didn't
3-1.
matter. It didn't ultimately matter, right? But
Well, you know what was funny? Sandlin came in,
yeah,
and he threw. At one point, he had thrown 14 pitches.
Just let him
Yeah.
work.
10 were balls. 4 were strikes.
Yeah.
Just gonna yell agree
Yes.
with each other.
And by the way, I didn't
Totally
like Francona taking McKenzie out with 2 outs in the 8th inning the other night too.
I didn't either.
You don't give him a chance to get a win. He's pitched great. He's just been incredible.
He has.
And then it's an error. An error extends the inning, and you take him out after an error, and
I
you only
know.
throw 90 pitches.
Didn't
I don't
make
see
sense.
that.
I'm with you.
I know we got to move on here real quick. I got to show some love for 30 seconds to Jose Ramirez. More RBIs than games. He's the only player in baseball, that's played more than like 20 games that has that. That's bananas. The Guardians are middle of the pack in baseball at getting on base, and in May they've been terrible at getting on base. And yet this guy's got 51 RBIs.
I got something profound here. This is crazy.
Drop it.
You don't have any ball players.
Oh, wow.
You don't have any guys.
Take. What's their record without Jose Ramirez right now?
I actually have
He's
no
played.
idea.
He's played every game but one.
But if you had to guess, what would their record be
Oh,
without Jose Ramirez?
what would their record be? Like
my
15
God.
Save that.
games
Let's
under
do that
500.
tomorrow. Let's do that tomorrow.
Yeah,
All
That's
right.
true. One
Good
guy's
topic.
holding that
Mike,
team.
Oh my God, they'd be 15 games under.
Yeah.
They might be the worst team in baseball without him.
Yeah.
There.
The closing thing is they always say, well, they do a lot with what they have to work with. That's supposed to be the thing that we're supposed to be happy about. Look at that team. You got to respect what they've done. You got to respect what Terry does. But then you just have to say, imagine if they had stuff to work with.
Yeah,
we
no.
do have a great organization.
that's where we
so
all
what if
look
they
at
had
the
some
owner.
money?
That's
What if
where
they had some
everybody
money
looks
to
at the
actually
owner.
work
That's right.
with? You're right, they do. Congratulations, Guardians. You do a lot with very little. What if you had something? Get them something.
If
Yeah.
you just had $100 million payroll, if you had 3 added
Boom.
2 legitimate hitters to the lineup.
We did in
Yeah.
16, and we were a few outs from winning the World Series.
Well, they had like $130 million payroll that
That's
year.
what
I'm
I'm
only
saying.
asking for 100.
We're at like
Yeah.
$50 million payroll right now,
ridiculous.
while the Dodgers are at $300 million or whatever it is.
Dodgers spend the most.
It can't be there.
By the way,
sorry.
Dodgers have the highest payroll. They're the best team, and they got the #1 rated farm system. too.
Yep.
Crazy.
We got to go. We're going to talk David Njoku, right? David Njoku, man, this guy's born under the right star. We talked about this last week because we heard it was coming down the pike. It's actually a reality now. David Njoku is the 4th highest paid tight end in the National Football League. 4 years, just under $57 million. Half of that is guaranteed. My guess is he'll never see the back end of that deal because I don't see.
Well, let's hope he becomes worth it.
I hope he is. But
Yeah.
if you go on what he's done in his 5 years in the NFL,
Yeah.
his production puts him between 16 and 22 tight end wise. Yet he's number 4 right now in the NFL. And guys, he's just a handful of dollars behind guys like Kelsey, who, when you start comparing the production, it's nowhere close.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they had him on a franchise deal.
Yes.
And could have kept him this year to see what he's going to be with
Makes
Deshaun
no sense to
Watson.
me. No, I don't get this at
and they
all.
bought the farm when they could have rented it for another year. I just don't understand.
Everyone seems to agree on that.
No, I think
No,
you're a
no.
All right, well, what's the question?
Yeah.
Tell
Wait,
me what their thought
I
process
don't agree
is.
with that.
Wait,
Fan
McNuggets,
we want the fan
McNuggets-
reactions
To that
first.
point,
Oh, yeah.
McNuggets said
Yeah.
that the internet, he was able to find guys on the internet that think this is somehow a good deal.
It's a great deal.
I'm still listening. I can be
Go
swayed.
ahead,
You
go
can
ahead,
be
McNuggets.
swayed.
Yeah, no, we got some great comments from the viewers as part of our What the Internet is Saying, which is sponsored by our favorite airfoils in America, PCC
Airfoil.
Airfoils. If you're looking for a job
Airfoil.
with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All the locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mender, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all
Visit the
positions
Menor
starting
branch.
at $18 an hour. Get
The Menor
that
branch
plus
of
full
Airfoils
benefit
is great.
packages, paid time off,
What a
and a
campus.
signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So here's what we tweeted.
Are we encouraging people to buy
Airfoil.
airfoils or to get involved in the
Airfoils.
aerospace
Both.
industry?
All of
Whatever. Okay, great.
All of
Mike
it.
Do
screwed
it
up
all.
Menor, though. I don't think he said Menor
Go
right.
get that
No.
18 an hour. You know what you could do on 18 an hour? You could win on 18 an hour.
Yes,
Go
you
get
can.
That job, bro.
Absolutely, you can. Parlay that.
So we asked the internet,
Yes.
using only a GIF, what's your initial reaction to the Njoku extension? Steve, let's cut right to the next video here, and we'll get to 4 internet reactions. This was the first one.
That's appropriate.
No explanation needed.
Yeah,
Number
but
2,
no.
Steve.
Very
Number 3,
good.
Steve.
Wow, that's bold.
And number 4.
Okay, Walter's loving it.
Hey, can we drop the tell line so
Oh, I
we can
love
see
that
what
kid.
the
Is that
meme
kid
says?
excited or like taken aback? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see it. Yeah.
The whole, we're just seeing part of it. The whole GIF is he walks into the room and he immediately sees something and he gets spooked and he turns around and he leaves the room.
We didn't have time to show you that whole GIF, you guys.
Yeah. So I think there was only one that really co-signs this trade.
I need to hear from him why he likes this, because I don't get it.
See, this is the easy part about this, man. Let's talk economics here, right? Let's talk about you doing futures here, right? Your money today might not be your money tomorrow, right? So you take your money and you invest it. You don't buy the stock price when it's at an all-time high. You buy the stock price when it's medium. And you go and think, okay, well, what is this stock going to do 2 to 3 years down the line? I'm looking at a long-term investment here. If you look at a guy like Greg Olsen, right? Everyone thinks Greg Olsen is great. Great tight end, right? He has some great years. You know, Greg Olsen did not have a 1,000-yard year until his 8th year of the game. What? 2007, 391 yards. 2008, 574. 2009, 612. 2010, 404. 2011, 540. He finally did something in his 6th year in 2012 when he went to
this would be Njoku's 6th year.
He was probably making $300,000 each of those years, too.
But
exactly.
When you take a look at what Njoku was doing, you look at these guys. George Kittle's making a bunch of money. Dallas Goedert.
All studs.
Dallas Goedert is not nobody's. I'm not scared of him.
He hasn't produced like
they like him, though, and they think he's got a ton of upside.
Here's the thing.
I wouldn't have paid Goddard that either.
I wouldn't have either.
14 for Goddard.
Everybody else on that list is worth every penny of it, though.
And so here's what you think. When you get a Deshaun Watson, let me run a couple routes. I'm open too. You got a running game. You got all the fixings up front. You got the line. You can run play action. There's going to be people walking right open. Amari Cooper is your best receiver you've had since '99. I'll put it on the books.
Harrison Bryant couldn't be that guy?
Yeah, if that's the case,
for a lot less money.
Yeah.
And we have an affinity to tight ends. You know Kevin Stefanski want 10 tight ends. So he's like, okay, well, look, we got rid of Hooper. He's not no good. Well, let me just give some of the money to Njoku.
We have a history of overpaying tight ends, that's for sure.
Here's the thing, G. Here's what I got a problem with this on multiple levels. Number one, what's the rush? I get what you're saying. Maybe you get it on the ground floor.
Got him on a tag for this year.
I just don't know. Let's say he has a magnificent season.
Right.
Let's say he has 85 catches for 1,113 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Well, then G's right.
Then he's the highest paid tight end in the game.
Then G's right.
Okay, so you're paying him $16 million. So it's only $2 million more.
So let me give you this, bull.
What was the point?
Really quick retort, though.
Yeah.
Who cares about the money?
Well, if there was no salary cap, we'd never even have these conversations.
By the way, let me give you this. Who have the Browns not been able to go sign because they gave somebody else money?
J.C. Treader.
And J.C. Treader was okay, but he's not no all-pro.
Second best center in the league last year. Second best center in the league.
Yes, he is.
J.C. Treader is an all-pro.
Did he make the Pro Bowl last year?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
No, I don't know either, but I'll take J.C. Treader and pay the salary.
J.C.
and never
Treader is a much more accomplished center than Njoku is.
And he's old. He's 33 years old.
But he was still really good last year. He never misses any time.
I look at it like this. He's 24. He has all the intangibles. He got the talent. He can move. He's vertical. He looks the part. He does the part. He's improved in his blocking. And if you think about it, why would I take my money and give it to somebody else when I don't know what they're about? I don't know what type of game they got.
I'm not asking it. They didn't need to give this money to anybody.
Who's the replacement?
G.
I'm not replacing him. He's
Look
on
at
a
your screen
franchise
right now,
tag.
G.
What do I got to pay him for?
Look at your screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
What am I paying him for?
Look at your screen right now, and I want to hear how G's processing this information right now.
So what I would ask is, who was his quarterback?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Who did Mark Andrews have at the second half of last year?
Mark Andrews had. Listen,
Lamar was hurt.
The whole system is built off two people. Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews is their number one target.
Lamar Jackson got hurt, and Mark Andrews still put up huge numbers.
He's still the number one target. You got to look at this. David Njoku started off as the third tight end. Hooper got all his touches.
Remember when we were having this argument last week, and we said he drops a lot of footballs, and you said, I don't know, let me look at it. And then about 30 seconds later, you piped up and you go,
he's
well timed.
He does drop a lot of footballs.
He drops a little too many footballs for my liking, right? But my thing is,
I just can't make him the fourth highest paid tight end when he's ranked 25th, 26th
This is my real question.
And
none of you guys might be able to come up with an example of this. I certainly can't because I don't have that kind of knowledge. But Is there an example of another player that has been rewarded this handsomely based on potential?
Not that I can remember.
And with a track record?
Not that I can remember.
I'm not saying it's not right. I'm just saying, is there an example of that being successful where somebody said, you haven't produced yet, but we think you might, and we're going to give you this much money?
And you've had 5 seasons to do it. You know what? Let's settle this the simple way.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
I want to bring in the voice of reason. Aditi Kinkhabwala. Did I get it?
Kinkhabwala.
Did I get it?
Aditi, talk to him.
Aditi, help me.
Talk to him.
Help me,
It's
Aditi.
a great. Aditi, talk to him. It's a great deal.
I know, but I want to properly say your name for crying out loud. We need a tutorial.
Fine, we'll take
You got to
it.
straighten out G here.
You know what's funny about it is that, well, whatever. We'll move on. Let's talk about Njoku because, quite frankly, I do think that the Browns overpaid for him. I do not think he is the 5th best tight end in the NFL, and I'm a little bit flummoxed that the expectation is he will most definitely have this amazing chemistry with Deshaun Watson. They haven't even played together yet.
Yeah, I think that's the voice of reason right there.
And here's the funny thing, Aditi. Like, I saw when I tweeted my reaction that I thought this was a head scratcher, that so many people said to me, well, Deshaun Watson's going to make him a star. Well, if Deshaun Watson can make anybody a star, then what the hell am I going to pay this guy for?
Right.
But,
Harrison Bryant can be that guy.
And to that point, guys, we don't necessarily know. I mean, a player can be an amazing player and not necessarily have chemistry with somebody. We just saw that with Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. versus Odell Beckham Jr. with Matthew Stafford. So just because they believe in Njoku, and he's never been that security blanket. When you think of these tight ends, when you think of what Heath Miller was to Ben Roethlisberger, when you think what Mark Andrews was not only to Lamar Jackson, but then to Tyler Huntley, it is a security blanket. David Njoku has never been that guy.
No,
and so why do we suddenly expect him to be that guy with somebody that he's never played with?
And my example to that, Aditi, to your point, look at the talent that the Kansas City Chiefs have on offense. Look at the weapons they have. But when you go back and you think about these huge plays that the Chiefs have to pick up, it's 3rd and 15. You almost know they're going to Kelsey. The defense almost knows they're going to Kelsey. And they go to Kelsey and they get the first down. If Njoku becomes that guy for the Browns, thank the Lord. I think this is a great deal. But he's never been that guy. I've seen nothing that tells me he's going to be that guy. And for that kind of money, I want that kind of security that you talked about and that Kelsey provides for the Chiefs. And I don't think we're going to get it.
And Jay, when you look around the division, I mean, yes, obviously Mark Andrews, I'm a huge Mark Andrews fan, but the Steelers' rookie tight end, Pat Freiermuth, was almost more reliable and more money a year ago. I mean, clearly the Steelers felt very comfortable going to him, and he turned into a touchdown machine. That's what you want out of your tight end. And we just haven't seen Njoku do it yet. Is he capable of doing it? Sure. I mean, obviously, he was a first-round pick who came in lauded, who there were very high expectations for. And to some degree, your contract is for what you are promising, what your future is, as opposed to what you've already accomplished. So the Browns do believe that. I will say this, though. Austin Hooper is gone, and you were just talking about Austin Hooper maybe cutting into some of his touches. But when I did that Chalk Talk with Kevin Stefanski a few weeks ago, just before I was in studio with you guys, he was specifically asked for one young player that he was looking to make a jump, and the one he named was Harrison Bryant.
That's fascinating.
A guy who plays the same position as Njoku.
And they could have had Njoku on a tag for a year, and if he does become that guy finally in year 6, then you pay him.
But there's
then you pay him.
To me, there's no down. What is the downside to the move?
That
he stays the guy that we've seen the last 5 years.
To a below-average player.
So here's
could affect you signing somebody else next year.
So here's the thing: you sign Austin Hooper. He wasn't no good. You cut him after 2 years.
Right?
Did it hurt you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what did it cost you in not getting someone else?
Here's the thing, G. If not Hooper, for that same chunk of money, we could have had a productive player that could have made the Browns a better team.
So here's
Hooper
the thing.
did not make the Browns a better team.
So here's what
he made us worse.
And so that is why David Njoku and Bryant are behind him, and they gave him the money because they said, hey, we're going to move on partly because you didn't do anything, but partly because we think David Njoku can be a bigger part of the offense. And I also look at this. I always talk about this with quarterbacks, right? And so it's either like they get all the credit or they get all the blame, right? So I'm going to ask myself, and I'll ask the panel, is it a coincidence Odell had the worst year of his life? No. Is it a coincidence Jarvis Landry had the worst year of his life? David Njoku's numbers are down. So
well, wait a minute. In Landry's case, he was hurt, and the guy had never been hurt.
I mean, he was hurt a couple years. What I'm saying is it matters who's throwing you the football.
I know, but Baker's been throwing to them for a couple of years.
And have they had crazy numbers? No.
No, but
Did it matter when Tyler Huntley was throwing the ball to Mark Andrews? It didn't.
It didn't matter.
Mark Andrews was still ridiculously productive. I just think that if you're a guy that catches the ball, you find a way to get open, you become a security blanket. Again, I'm using that same phrase, that the quarterback feels he can feed the ball to you.
And
it just feels too easy to blame this on Baker or blame this on the offense a year ago. David Njoku has never had 60 catches. He's never had 1,000 yards. Heck, he's never even had 700 yards.
And that's a problem. And Aditi, how many times did we see Baker throw the football to Njoku, hit him square in the mitts, and the ball ended up on the carpet? I saw that a lot last year, G. Bush.
I'll give you that. I'll give you about the drops. All I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
When you look at the money, you got Dallas Goedert, you got some of these other guys.
Yeah.
Is he Kelsey? No. Is he Kittle? No. But
he's paid like them.
But as a coach, as an organization, everybody ain't going to come out an A-plus player. They believe that he has the raw materials to do what he needs to do.
He's going into year 6.
But here's the thing. He's still young.
Some tight ends develop. The only thing I'll say to G's argument is there are some tight ends that do develop late. It is a position that guys can develop late. It's true.
But he hasn't developed yet.
But he hasn't developed at all.
Why are we paying him? Because we just think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't. And that's the bottom line. Somebody said to me, "Well, he would have held out and not played on the franchise tag." That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. That guy who's been a below-average player is going to pass up on a chance for $11 million on a franchise
Aditi,
tag? There's no way he would have sat out.
Aditi, you know this organization. Tell us what they're thinking. Really, what do you tell us what you think? Why do you think they did this? Just out of curiosity.
Well, you know what? I can't give you an answer to something that I don't understand at all. I do want to make one other point, though. A player can get paid and then be so motivated to prove that he's worth every single penny. I would argue that TJ Watt did that a year ago. A player could be paid and he could get complacent. Do we know for sure that David Njoku is going to go out there every single day with the attitude
It's a good question.
He gets a little mopey.
This insane contract that you've given me?
Hey, guys, we've got a history here. Where was Njoku with the organization a year ago?
Pouting.
18 months ago.
He wanted to be traded.
He wanted to be traded.
Rewarding a guy.
He's third on the depth chart. I mean, I'll say this.
The coach hasn't changed, though.
I'll say this. Aditi will be back. We will all be back. Book it.
But
rewind the tape,
but
McNuggets.
Here's the bottom line.
I know. Put it down.
Here's
Rewind
the
the tape when David Njoku balls out.
But even
when
if
he gets
does,
his 10 touchdowns.
I still think it was a bad move.
Why? You can't.
Because
that's not possible.
Why not wait till he does it before you pay him?
Because that's not the way life works. You don't get paid based on, like, here's the thing. We even project our husband and wives. When you don't marry your wife today.
We didn't project with Baker.
Well, hold on.
I don't know that you want to go there. matter in 3 days.
No.
You can't go
You
there.
project. When you see somebody, they're not a finished product. What you're saying is, okay, can you rear children?
So you're marrying on potential.
It's a potential.
She has potential to be a hell of a woman.
And actually, she married me on potential.
Sometimes
that's what happened. That's what I'm talking about.
The problem is sometimes you get a Dogecoin. And then it's worthless and just goes under.
Aditi, imagine if we were having this conversation just for 1 second. Imagine if the Browns were to give Baker Mayfield a deal like this that would make him the 4th or 5th highest paid quarterback in the NFL after what we've seen for 4 years? And all of a sudden now we think, oh, he's got a big upside, he's got big potential. This city would have lost their mind if after last year they would have signed Baker.
They already did.
To the 4th. No, they didn't.
They gave him 18, and they can't get off the 18.
But I'm talking about making him the 4th highest paid for an extension, like they just did with David Njoku.
Look, I've said this over and over again that I really believe in Andrew Berry. I think Andrew Berry is one of the smartest, brightest minds in the National Football League. But quite frankly, I don't get this. And the next time I see him, I'll tell him. I mean,
Tell
I'm
him.
sure he's watching right now, right, guys? He does
course he
watch.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's huge. A huge fan.
He's on next.
It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. And I would actually venture to say, I would rather have Mark Andrews and I would rather have Pat Freiermuth if you're going around the division.
Well, gosh, I would
I can't
too.
even remember who the Bengals tight end is
Bengals,
now that
he
you said it.
signed, what's his name, who used to be on the Ravens. And then he went to Atlanta last year.
Oh,
Hayden Hurst.
Hurst.
Yeah.
Hayden
Oh,
Hurst.
yeah, they lost their tight end, didn't they?
Yeah,
he's
But I
gone.
don't
Uzama
mean
went to the
we
Jets.
think-
Yeah.
When you go around the division right now, you really think, besides G, because G clearly thinks that David Njoku is going to have the best season of any tight end ever in the history of the National Football League. But do all of you really think that he's going to be better than Freiermuth
Yes.
and Mark Andrews?
I don't.
Freiermuth.
Oh, no way.
I would take him over Freiermuth.
Andrews, no.
I think Freiermuth, it could go either way. I'm not completely
Well, he's
sold
got a
on
new
Freiermuth.
quarterback now there, too.
There
so
you
we'll
go.
see.
Yeah, but he's not any good either. But
He's so dismissive.
it's a flat-out embarrassment. Anybody that would have a conversation about whether David Njoku is better than Mark Andrews is embarrassing themselves.
Oh, yeah,
what
we
we've
won't
seen,
even do that.
What
We
we've
won't do
seen
that.
so far, which is a large enough sample size, not even in the same zip code.
Yeah.
But pay-wise, he's just beneath.
Yeah, Mark Andrews is the best tight end in football now. He's better than Kittle. He's better than Kelsey.
I still like
I
Kelce
still
a
think
lot.
he's. I
but
think he's the
isn't
best.
this all irrelevant? Aren't they still just going to run the ball? I mean, really, Nick Chubb better get the most touches. That's how I feel about
So,
it.
Aditi, you know what? If that's the case, like, it's even more head-scratching. Can't
Right, because
Harris-
he's not really a great blocker.
No.
This isn't like
Now, if
blocking
he-
tight end that you really desperately need in the run game.
And by the
Exactly.
way, outside of Kelsey, all those other tight ends making money, those other three guys, are all with teams with the quarterbacks on a rookie contract. Andrews,
Right.
right?
Right.
Goddard and Philly. They got Jalen Hurts, who they'll probably get rid of after this year, and then who we forget, Kittle. They
Look, the
got
best case scenario, gee, I'll give you this, is Njoku proves us wrong and proves you right. And he comes out and he balls out and he shows that he's worth every penny. I'm just saying right now, considering what he has produced and how long he's had to produce and take that step, we haven't seen it yet. So that's
I'm
why.
gonna ask Aditi this: what does his numbers have to look like this year for you to say it's a good contract? What would he have to? What would the bar
Kelsey.
be for Njoku?
10 touchdowns, 1,000 yards.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll take that because that's what you're
Okay.
paying him for.
Okay.
That's the kind of contract that he.
Yeah, I don't
he's-
want no. If he gets 770 with 6 touchdowns, that's fine. That's
Yeah, but
quality
that's
tight
not
end
number
numbers.
4
But
tight
right,
end
yes.
money. Aditi, have you talked to
Right.
any of your colleagues? What are those in the national media or other GMs? If you've talked to anybody,
Are they
around
making
the
fun
league?
of us?
What are they saying about What are they saying about this move? Because it's such a head
Well,
scratcher.
you know, I do radio in Pittsburgh every Monday, and
Okay.
it was actually, even though the Steelers just named a new general manager and have rebuilt their entire front office and have bid adieu to somebody that's been there a long time, we spent a good chunk of time yesterday actually talking about the Njoku deal. And this is unfortunately one of those things, I think in the rest of the division, the other 3 cities like to poke fun at what Cleveland does.
What?
And this is the
You can't
time of year
imagine
where
that.
it's not
That's
true.
ridiculous.
But here's
You
the
know?
thing: Pony and all those guys on the fan in Pittsburgh, they sound like fools right now because they're hyping up Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. They sound like Browns fans until the last couple of years. I mean, they really do. They don't know what it's like to be looking for a quarterback in Pittsburgh.
get
I
you
heard, wasn't it Pony that was going on and on about how good Pickett is?
No, Pony loves
Oh,
Pickett.
my
Pony
God.
is just
He is-
all in on the Kenny
he
Pickett
is
train.
lost in the
You know what?
soup.
Trubisky's going to start the season.
And they both stink, and neither one's going to be any good. And
Boy, I
come
hope
on.
you're right.
Pickett's Brandon Weeden take 2.
Yeah, but
just
you
a
know
little
what?
younger.
I think Mike Tomlin thinks, here's what it is. Mike Tomlin
Yeah.
thinks that he can play great defense,
No.
run the ball,
No,
and have a
he's wrong.
quarterback that doesn't make mistakes.
Aditi, he's wrong.
Old
He's,
school football.
he's wrong. They didn't play great defense last year. The only reason they finished over 500 is because Mike Tomlin is a magical coach, and the fans there are idiots for wanting him fired. Because if they had any Browns coach, they would have won 5 games last year. Because Roethlisberger stinks, both those quarterbacks stinks. Najee Harris is overrated. Their offensive line stunk last year. Although I think they've improved it.
Najee.
He's overrated.
They can
He's
rebuild
fine.
their offensive line.
He's
No,
fine.
they
He's
can
not a top
provide
10
him
running
the
back in the
same
league.
correctly.
He's fine. He just got more touches than other guys. That's why he put up big
See,
numbers.
that's the difference between a Bengals fan and a Browns fan.
Yeah.
You can do that and not be afraid that those words are going to come back
Why?
to haunt you.
I like the Bengals
Browns
have a history
fans
of being
can't
good.
do that because
I am a half.
we
I am
know
a half
better.
Browns fan, and I'm speaking for all Browns
But
fans.
I I can't
The
imagine
Steelers
that the
should have been
Browns-
under
Right.
500 last year. They will be
Wait a minute,
this
how are
year.
you a half Browns fan? How does that work?
I root for them when they're not playing the Bengals. I root for the Browns.
He's not. He's a Bengals fan. You
I
can't
root for the Browns to win, except when they're playing the Bengals. I do.
can't.
I want them to win every other game.
I'm
I
not.
want the
You
Bengals
think
to go
the Bengals are
17-0
set up-
and the
you
Browns
think
to
the
go
Bengals
15-12.
are set up to have another great year? Or are you worried about a slump? You worried about
I'd be worried about
hanging-
repeating what you did last year.
I'm worried about the defense regressing because I think the defense overachieved. I'm not worried about the offense will be even better. Joe Burrow, I wouldn't trade him for any player in football. I wouldn't trade Jamar Chase for any wide receiver in football.
Neither would I.
And their offensive line is the only weakness on their offense was their line, and they've signed one excellent and 2 good offensive linemen. They now have 4 legitimate starters, where they had last year they had 1.
And didn't have to guarantee money beyond. I mean, Duke Tobin did business the
They're
way
very
the Bengals
smart with
always
those
do business,
contracts.
which
They're
credit
very
to
smart
him.
with those. I give them
I
credit.
think you need to watch that Jesse Bates thing, though, Adam. I think you need to see, is he signing that tag? Is he not? Are they getting a deal done? What
I don't think he'll
happens
play
there?
on. Well, I mean, he'll play on the tag, but he'll hold out from the whole offseason, though, and training.
Well,
but he'll play. They
and
all
that
play,
back end made that defense really go. The chemistry, the way that back
especially in
end
the
played, that
playoffs.
secondary played.
Especially in the
and that
playoffs.
has so much to do with Jesse Bates and Von Bell right there.
By the way, I'm going to say this. I know people are going to go, ooh, but if Kenny Pickett were black, nobody'd be excited about him right now. Gee, you know this.
Throwing down takes.
Nobody be excited.
Wow.
People
Throwing
love
him down.
These older white He's steady. That's another word of saying he's white. I mean, come on. People love these older white quarterbacks. Gee,
Get
wins
them.
the game. I know this is
Pickett?
true. Nobody be excited about Kenny Pickett if you're black. Nobody.
Hey, Kenny Pickett is a really good guy.
No, I don't care. He's a nice guy. I'm not here to talk about nice guys. We all thought Deshaun Watson's a nice guy. Now we're not sure.
Look, you're gonna take us down a road that will be the longest off ramp in the history
that's
of
true.
off ramps. We
All
don't
right.
have time.
Seriously, I don't know that I want
Everybody
to be
knows
part
it's
of
true,
this,
though.
Jay.
Yeah, I know you. I know I don't.
I'm gonna ask a serious question.
Gee, you know I'm right.
Yeah, hey, listen, hey, we're gonna we dap you up.
Right.
Hey, by the way, Aditi, what's going on with this Lamar Jackson situation?
Oh, yeah,
Is he gonna get the bag? And when I mean the bag, I mean, is it gonna be Josh Allen bag money, or are they trying to give him a little tier?
Even
underneath
Njoku money.
Njoku money.
Guys, this is the most bizarre situation, and we know that Lamar Jackson doesn't have a traditional agent, that he and his mom, who, his mom had him as a teenager, they're as tight as can be, they're our unit. They don't have a traditional agent, but the Ravens can't negotiate with Lamar's mom because she's not registered with the NFLPA, so they basically need to negotiate with the player, and the player's not interested in negotiating right now. I mean, Eric DaCosta is on the record saying, we're ready to do a deal. We'll do the deal when Lamar feels some urgency to get it done. And right now, Lamar has no urgency to get it done. He's not sitting here saying, well, I need to protect myself.
Right.
And I'll tell you this is really interesting. I've talked to 2 general managers around the league who think that even though Eric DaCosta wants to get a deal done and is saying everything publicly that he wants to get a deal done, both of these GMs have told me they think this actually benefits the Ravens, that Lamar Jackson doesn't have this urgency, because they think the Ravens shouldn't commit the amount of money that they're ready to commit toLamar Jackson.
Wait
Let's
a
see if he
second.
can have a fully healthy
Wait a
year
second,
this year.
Aditi. Are you saying a couple of old white guys don't think Lamar Jackson should be? I'm making everything racial.
No, you know what?
A couple of white guys think Lamar's a flash in the plan.
I know.
He's on
Stop
a
going there,
crusade.
Bill.
He's
Stop
on a crusade.
Stop it.
Is Bill Polian one of those guys?
To your point, it's one of those deals where if the extension takes time and he balls out, they'll happily write the big check. But there
Right.
are a lot of GMs across the NFL that just aren't sure that Lamar Jackson's game is sustainable. Can he stay healthy?
Exactly.
Can he keep playing that way?
Exactly.
And it's tough. Bull, we
And can
talked
he
about
keep
the Bengals.
improving as a passer?
Those are
Yes,
the same teams
yes,
who
he's gotta-
punt from the 40-yard line. Let's get out and kick
No,
field
but
goals
Bull,
to take the
Bull,
points.
the fact of the matter is, he set such a ridiculously high bar.
And he wasn't good last year.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
And now
He was
give you that.
hurt.
Yeah.
Last
He was hurt,
year
but
he was hurt all year.
But
I
he
don't,
And it
give
was
Baker,
very
I don't give Baker a pass. I don't give Lamar a pass.
No, he doesn't
That's
get
it.
a pass. He was
Yeah.
hurt. We know that, but he wasn't the same guy.
He wasn't.
And if
Right.
you're the Ravens, first of all, you're furious at the deal that the Browns gave Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Because now, if you're Lamar Jackson and you're watching this, you're gonna want the same kind of thing. And
100%.
if I'm the Ravens, I don't even know if Lamar is, if you can replicate that year after year after year, and at what point does it become an absolute non-starter, that he can no longer be that guy. Because we're all, as you get older and you're still trying to do things that you could when you were 23 and 24, after taking the hits that he's taken, I don't know that he can continue to play at that level, Aditi.
And they have no wide
Well,
receiver.
Jay, here's one thing that I would say, and I think that Lamar Jackson is a little bit more in the mold of a Josh Allen or even a Tom Brady to say he doesn't need the entire bag. I mean, the guy is as competitive as he gets. All he ever talks about is winning a Super Bowl. Josh Allen knew, if I take everything, if I take 70% of the cap, I'm not getting teammates to play with.
Sure.
I'm not getting the support around me that I need. It's the same way Tom Brady was never the highest paid quarterback. Lamar Jackson is more of that mind, and I think he's smart enough to recognize that there are other ways to make money. You know, if you win, everybody eats. It's kind of like Brady made so much money on endorsement deals. Lamar Jackson has a clothing line. He's willing to do other things. So I don't know that he's sitting there and saying, I need to get the most guaranteed money that's ever been promised to anybody in the National Football League. I think he's thinking, I need a team around me.
Well, if he's smart, that's the way he'll play it. Aditi, I know we have to let you go because you're up against it, but thank you so much. We'll see you Thursday, right? You're back Thursday?
Yep. Can't wait, guys.
Every Tuesday and Thursday. Aditi, thank you. Always the voice of reason. I knew she'd come in and settle that Njoku thing. I knew she would.
She straightened you out.
She settled that.
Yes, she did.
It was hard to watch.
It was 3 against 1 before she came in the room. Now it's 5 against 1 because Aditi counts for 2.
Plus the public and Twitter, they all agree with us too for the most part.
And Twitter's never wrong.
One GIF agreed with you. Just one GIF.
McNuggets, what's up?
We got good bet, bad bet. Steve, let's pull up the tombstone real quick.
Big day.
First time
Big day
in
for
UCSS
JC.
history,
Big
Jay.
day.
3-0 last Friday.
Naylor even had an RBI. And you guys killed me for that. You guys killed me for that when I said he was going to have an RBI.
Did.
And this makes a big change to the standings. Let's pull up 83, Steve, with the 3-0
snug.
performance.
Here we
Jay's
go.
past Bull.
There we go.
Wow.
All right, I'm in it now. I'm in it now.
Polk is still on fire. G. Bush, the leader of the daily panelists.
By the way, just to make myself feel better since I'm in the last, we're still all over 500. So if you're over 500,
we're making money.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
How long before we have a sponsor for this segment?
Come on now.
I mean, come on. We're winning people
We
money
got
here.
casinos. Come on, guys.
Let's go.
Hop
There are
on. All right, let's get to
casinos
today's
in
There's got to
bets,
be
though,
some
because
oil
we have-
change place that wants us.
Hey, first bet today, Guardians, 1.5 run favorites over the Royals. Quantrill on the mound. And G. Bush, the lone anti-Guardian.
You're not feeling it. No.
Why do you hate Cleveland?
All them sticks. Y'all
If Njoku was pitching, he would like it every minute.
If Njoku was pitching, you know he got 5 pitches too.
You know he does.
You know, his problem is he can't catch the ball when the catcher throws it back to him. Too many drops.
All right, what's
right.
next?
I think they're going to win.
Number 2, another disagreement here. Under 9.5 runs in the game tonight. Bull and Polk on the same side of history. J and G on the other.
Yeah.
I think it's a high-scoring game tonight.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
3-2.
That's what I'm thinking, more of like 3-2, 3-1, something like
They've
that.
both been hitting last 3 games.
They are putting it together. They are putting it
see.
together.
These Guardians.
And they're home. What a weird homestand. 3-game homestand. Don't waste my time with that.
Yeah.
Why would you even have a 3-game
that's
homestand,
annoying when
Major
they
League
do that.
Baseball?
McNuggets, you guys, see, you be having a lot of Guardians in here, bro. Where does NBA playoffs at too, man?
There's no games. There's no games till Thursday.
Start till
Find me
Thursday.
some UFC stuff too. I don't know what it is. Did you get it?
We have Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. Not Stanley Cup Finals. The Rangers and
That was last
No,
night.
Rangers won.
It was
won.
last night.
Yeah.
Shows
So
on top of the
I'm
hockey
picking the
guy.
Rangers
Let
in
the
that one.
producer pick
The
the
Rangers
games.
won,
I got one
all
job
right.
on the show. Let me do my job, guys. All right, last
No,
one.
you're good.
Start
This is
using the
full
biggest
special.
loser or something.
Will Austin Hedges get a hit tonight? You guys hate Austin Hedges.
You know, I almost went good bet just because I knew I would
Yeah.
have been the only one to do it, and I'm trying to make up ground.
I thought about it too.
But then I thought,
didn't.
coming off my 3-0, I
gotta
don't want
stay hot.
to lose.
No.
This is
If it would have been
feeling.
Reach's base, I feel like I would have gone with it.
Yeah, 'cause then
probably.
you've got
but
the chance of
him actually
walks.
making contact and whatnot, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
For a professional baseball player.
I don't think he's wrong for the Indians starting lineup, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not great. Sorry,
All right,
Austin.
we're taking a break.
It's time to break. You guys got to get up. We got to move your chairs because Serena Winters is in studio right now. We got to get a 5th chair set
Cavs
up, so we're
courtside
taking a double
reporter
break.
Serena Winters joining the program for the first time when the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show comes right back. Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I am a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. I have carried my fandom every city I've ever lived in. People have always asked me, why are you so diehard about Cleveland? It's because I'm from here. and we know how much our teams mean to us. Most of us know that because of our parents. In my case, my father was just a huge Cleveland sports fan. It was really part of our life. It was woven into everything we did, and it was our connection throughout his life.
When you watch Front Row, you never have to ask what's going on in Cleveland.
It is our job to get you up to speed on the latest news and events so you can enjoy all our city has to offer. We are bright, bold, and all about the action.
Whether you're a diehard Browns fan, waiting on breaking news, or searching for a special event for a weekend away,
Our hometown has it all. So join us. We're waiting for you. Front Row, weeknights at 7.
Seeing, knowing, and understanding Northeast Ohio is something we take very seriously.
Because in our connected world, what happens in one community can have an impact on others,
leading to difficult challenges and opportunities for reflection and growth.
So, for in-depth analysis of how today's top stories affect you, your family, and our communities across Northeast Ohio,
join us for 3 News at 6.
So you know what matters most.
Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I'm a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. My favorite all-time Cleveland sports moment, you're not going to believe this, it was Rajay Davis's home run in Game 7 that tied the score.
My favorite Cleveland sports moment would have to be the Kyrie Irving 2016 shot. It's the only time that I've ever cried over any sporting event.
And my ultimate Cleveland memory is when the Cavs won the championship and the day of the parade. It was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life.
Cleveland sports to me is bigger than anything. It's bigger than some people's marriages. They say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. No. Dallas is not America's team. Cleveland is America's team. And sports in Cleveland is a religion. It's a way of life. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter. Sports is a way for people in Cleveland to get together, and it's something that can't be replicated in Cleveland. Sports is a thing.
All right, we're back on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we're thrilled to welcome Serena Winters, the Cavs courtside reporter, with us.
How you doing?
On the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Are you ready for this?
You know, I've been listening in the back.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah?
All
Yeah,
right. There's a lot of yelling and shouting going on out here.
There is. There really, really
Sometimes
is.
more than there should
Who
be.
was the loudest of the shouters, though? I
That's
can't
me.
tell.
No
Definitely.
question.
That was you. Always the loudest.
He prides himself on that.
22 years.
You know, in a newsroom, a television newsroom, it's pretty reserved. There's really not a lot of noise. When we were shooting promos for our show, Bull was in the studio at the weather wall, and he was going to record some promos. And as soon as he launched into his, I'm out of the Bull, everybody in the newsroom
Freaking
looked
out.
around. They were like, who was in there? What is going on in there?
Scared
right
them,
now?
yes.
Yeah, they're not used to it. I mean,
No.
in sports radio,
He frightened
obviously.
Leon
She's
Bibb.
been in sports radio,
Yeah,
so
it's
she
par for the
I
understands.
have. Yeah, I
lunatics like
started
me.
in sports radio.
Yes.
That was where I began.
No
Yeah, so
stranger
you
to
remember the
screaming.
days.
No stranger to
it's
screaming.
fun. And plus, you're in your sweatpants. You're having a good time.
know.
No one cares what you look like.
Right.
Sports radio is the best.
It is the best.
Yeah, after
It really
22
is.
years, I finally had to get dressed for work.
Look at you.
It's a
Look
big
at you.
change. Yes.
We're glad that you did. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And what the hell? I mean, as long as you're here, we probably should talk Cavs, right?
I mean,
so
we could.
I think this is a good place to start as any. We've been trying to figure out, so what's the missing link to this team? What is the piece that is going to take this team over the top without giving away too many assets that have helped us rebound to where they finished last year? As you look at how this team is built right now, what are they missing, and who can they part ways with to help get them over the top?
Well, I have to say that when I think back to the Cavs signing Karis LeVert,
Yeah.
I was so excited
So
to
was I.
see how that fit would take place. If that would kind of be the missing piece, right? Because he had all of those tools, those skill set, but you got to have time.
Yeah.
And then he had the unfortunate injury that had happened in practice, with the foot, and then he's out. And so we didn't even get to see him alongside his former teammate in Jared Allen, right? And so there was so many unknowns, I think. If you were as excited as I was when they signed Karis, I'm thinking, okay, could this be it, right? Because
I think everybody thought this was going to be huge.
A big piece.
Sure, because you have the ball handling, right? But you've
Right.
also got somebody who can go get a bucket at any time. And we're looking at, like, what is the next step in this development? What is the next step in if they are going to be able to go to the playoffs? And to me, that's getting a bucket. Like, you need another guy who can get a bucket that's not just Darius
And we
Garland.
didn't have that down the stretch.
Didn't have that down
Nobody
the
was
stretch.
able to score.
And so it's tough to end the season feeling like we didn't get to see that dream come to fruition of what the Cavs were trying to build.
So am I hearing you right? Your answer might be, it might be right in front of us. We just don't know yet. We didn't see it.
It could be. It really could. I still would love to see what Karis LeVert can bring. We have no idea with him and Colin Sexton, right? Like what that could be.
There's so many moving parts that we haven't seen together.
There are.
They were so injured the end of last year.
They were, and it's tough because when you talk about like the playoffs and hitting at the right time, the NBA is so much about timing. It is so much about timing. And when the injury bug hits, and unfortunately for the Cavs, it hit at the wrong time, and then we all kind of left disappointed at the end of the season.
Yeah, so it kind of gets an incomplete grade, really.
DeJounte Murray, guys, I've been screaming about this for a month.
He loves Murray.
Yeah. DeJounte Murray, Colin Sexton, whatever the hell I have to give up as long as it's not the big three. Right? I mean, I know he's not a wing player, which is really what they need. But I love the idea of Darius Garland and DeJounte Murray playing together. I think DeJounte Murray is the most underrated player in the NBA. What do you think?
I mean, I think he's great.
Right.
I think he's great.
I don't know that they can actually
How
get
are they
him.
going to get him?
I don't know.
See, that's
Colin
what I said.
Sexton and 82 first-round picks.
And you got to think realistically, though, too.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, when I think of when the season ended and talking to Kobe Altman, and he chatted with us, I want to say for an hour. I remember because my back hurt because we were standing there. I'm like, man, Kobe, he just kept on going and going.
Right. He had a lot to unload.
He had a lot. He had a lot.
It's therapeutic for him.
Very
probably.
therapeutic, right. So one of the things that he kept harking back to was that these guys deserve to play together. Like, he kept saying, Colin Sexton, when he was asked about Colin, or Karis, like, these guys deserve to have the time to play together. So to me, that kind of makes me think that
They're going to try and keep him around?
They would try.
But if you have a chance to get better, you got to try to get better.
Oh,
Of course.
you do.
But
Of course you do.
I think the point you're making, Serena, is a good one that Kobe was making is you hate to punt before fourth down.
Right.
And I think if they punt now, I do feel like there's going to be questions that were left unanswered just because we didn't get to see how these pieces fit together. Because that ultimately, you can have 5 great pieces.
Yeah.
If they don't click, you've got the Lakers. You know, you've got to figure out a way to make the machine go forward. And God, I want to believe that the pieces are here. I still think, though, to get over the ultimate hump, if they want to win an Eastern Conference championship, I still think there is a missing piece that's not on this roster.
I do too, but there seems to be this big hurry to get Colin Sexton out of town that I don't agree with. I don't know why people are so. It's as if he wronged us somehow or something. He wasn't. He might not be a perfect fit or anything, but they started off the season well together before he got injured. People forget that. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't really played with the same unit that Garland's had the benefit of playing with, and we haven't seen really what they can do together. And I'm not. If you get an amazing deal on somebody who you know can benefit the team, it's a better fit.
Right.
But I just don't. I'm not. Everyone's in a hurry to kick him out the door, and he's a talented player. He's proven to be.
I don't know about his unit, but I don't think Colin Sexton. I don't know that it's everybody trying to get him out of the door. I just think it's if we're going to trade for another player, he's the piece you got to trade.
He's got to be.
Right? Because you don't want to trade
general,
for
that is what everybody.
Do you agree with that?
Well, first of all, what is the timeline we're talking about here, right? Like, what is the next step and when? Because if the goal next year is to make the playoffs and win a series or just make the playoffs, like, what you're trading for and what you need right now is not the same.
Right, you think a long-term investment or short-term?
If you're thinking long-term investment, right?
That's a great point.
Then why would you not see what you have with the core group that, let me tell you, from being around the NBA for as long as I have and covering the different teams that I have, and I'm just going to take this IB out of my ear.
Go ahead,
If they say anything important, we'll tell you.
I'm doing it too. I'm taking mine out also. That's it.
If they say there's a fire in the building or something, we'll let you know.
That's out.
There's something about being around this particular team, and I've been around a lot of Lakers teams. Oh, thank you. A lot of Lakers teams, Blazers teams, Sixers teams. There's something this team has that I have not seen in other teams.
C'est je ne sais quoi. They have a
and
je ne
so
sais
to
quoi.
break that up already,
Yep.
I'm
And Colin
telling
Sexton,
you,
sorry to cut you off, but Colin Sexton, I will give him a ton of credit for this. He seemed, and you were there, so you would know better than us. Colin Sexton seemed to be an amazing teammate when he was hurt down the stretch. He could have just stayed home a lot.
He was present.
We know Kyrie Irving would have just stayed home.
Listen, I was at every practice, every shoot around.
Right.
And when I was in that gym at the end there, guess who was in there? It was always Colin Sexton.
That's awesome.
Before and after.
Yeah, that's
getting
huge,
up
guys.
shots and working that matters.
And the teammates see that, and they know that he's with us. Even though he can't be with us on the floor, he's still in the fight. And I love that.
And I think people is overlooking one thing. He has a hell of a skill set. I think people think like he's like this medium throw-in player. This guy's giving you 24 a night, man. At his peak, he's giving you 24. And you can't find guys that just roll out of the bed and get you 24. When I was looking at what the Cavs were missing, when they was trapping, Darius Garland off the pick and roll in the playoffs, and some of them, I'm looking around like, hey, we need a guy that can get a shot. We need a guy that can create. He's that dude. And I'm going to ask you this, too. You look at the Boston Celtics, right?
Yeah.
I think the Cleveland Cavaliers could be – they gave you a good idea of what you need to do. Tatum and Brown were together, and they lost a lot in the playoffs. They finally got over the hump now because they were together. They've been playing together.
Continuity.
A little continuity. Mm-hmm. And I think if you keep Colin Sexton and you figure out how you can play with each other, I think that they can have a blueprint like the Celtics. It may take a little bit of time, but I think it's worth looking at 40 games to at least say.
You think Colin Sexton is as good as one of those guys?
No, I'm just saying it could work if you look at what he's going to be, because we didn't know what Darius Garland was before he got that opportunity.
Yeah.
Serena, you were talking about they have something that these other teams haven't had. It's obvious. This team was as much fun to watch as the old Cavs with LeBron in the playoffs. I never thought they were that much fun in the regular season, but they were so much fun to watch in the playoffs. But I found myself on my feet again, having fun watching a basketball team that a year ago, if you would have told me I would have been there, I was in no way. Sure. They're not a fun team. Do we in the media make more of a team having fun than we should, or is that even underrated on the value scale to a GM?
You know, it's an interesting point, because there's a part of me being in the media that wants to say, like, maybe that is a good point. Maybe we do make more fun out of it, or make more out of the fun than we should.
Maybe it's not as important as we think it is.
Maybe it's not, but we always talk about chemistry, right? It's like that buzzword that always gets talked about. Do you have to have it? Look, you don't have to have everybody love each other to win a championship.
No,
LeBron and Kyrie didn't love each other.
No, and teams that have hated each other.
So, look, is it 100% necessary? No, it is not. I would tell you that respect is 100% necessary, and respecting what
mutual respect
of what people's roles are, what teammates' roles are. You don't have to, necessarily love everybody and like everybody, but you got to respect and be able to play along each other and win. But with that being said, I think that the Cavs group has something that a lot of teams don't have that can also, in some instances, be more valuable than the talent on the floor, right? Like if you had, look at the Nets this year. Right? Like, look how much talent that Brooklyn Nets team had. You look at them on paper, X's and O's, and you say, man, like, I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs, right? And then look at what happened.
In the first round.
They have the talent. They didn't have the it or that chemistry that
thoroughly unlikable team. Thoroughly unlikable.
They really are. I think they're so unlikable that they don't like one another.
They don't. They know they're unlikable. They know what they are.
They're less likable than the Warriors.
They're even less likable.
Individual players.
Easily.
Easily. I think they lead
mercenary. I loved watching those teams that tried to build the super teams. I liked watching them go down this year.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I like watching the Lakers go down. That's not the fit anymore. That used to be the thing. You needed three superstars, and the three superstar model's gone, and I like that.
And I think we're sick of seeing that, right?
I hate to interrupt you. You got to put your earpiece in.
Okay.
I'm told because McNuggets has Cavs breaking news.
Now I got to find it.
Cavs breaking news.
So I don't know what this. Hold on until Serena gets her earpiece in.
I got to find it over here. So help me out. Help me out.
There it is. All right.
There.
Breaking news is coming.
All right.
Okay, we're good.
Just in.
I feel like we need a breaking news cart, but go ahead.
It's coming. It's in the tank.
We really got breaking.
Is this a mild Woj bomb?
This is a Woj bomb.
Okay.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are hiring Luke Walton as an assistant coach.
Wow. Okay, I think that's kind of big.
Luke,
I think that's kind of
big.
big.
He was around the facility. I chatted with him, I don't know, a couple of months
Now
ago.
it makes
He was
sense,
at, now
right?
it all makes sense.
Now it's all coming together.
It all makes sense.
You heard it here,
I
folks,
love Luke
2 months
Walton.
ago.
I love Luke Walton. I don't know what you guys
if
think
that's
about it.
worthy of breaking news, though.
Why
I don't know
not?
if she had to put the earpiece back in.
It's
You just
an
could have told
addition
us,
to
and we
the-
could have told her.
Do we care?
It's Luke
I like
Walton.
it.
We need it for top 5 later. Anyway.
It's Luke Walton.
I
Yeah,
actually,
you're right. For top 5, she has.
I covered the Lakers when Luke was head coach there.
I think Luke's gotten a bad rap. I really do. I like him. I like him as a coach. I think he
Players
probably
like him too.
I know players like him, and that's important. I don't
Didn't
know
Luke Walton play here? He played, right?
He did. Hot
Just
minute.
for
For
a
a hot
minute.
But he
minute.
was during that. We had this run of like just white, plain 6-foot guys that came out and shot threes and just for like 6 years.
Who
were
have been
different
living
ones.
off their father's name?
He was one of the only ones who did that. But yeah, so I remember Luke Walton. I remember him playing here. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's back. They have like a good relationship, I assume. Like that, did they coach together somewhere else? Luke Walton and anybody in the
They
Cavs
do.
organization?
I know that they have a good relationship just because I saw them. You can tell when people have a good relationship
Sure.
when you're
Yeah.
around them.
Okay, that's good. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, that also, what's that emphasize? Does that tell us anything?
No,
mean,
I don't think it does. But
He was obviously an outside shooter specialist. Does that matter at all?
No.
No. All right.
I don't think
I'm
so.
trying to find
I mean,
something
let's face
exciting
it.
about
Let's
Luke
face
Walton.
it.
Yeah.
It's an assistant coach in the NBA.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, how much do they move the needle? I don't know. But to your point
Yeah.
that it's a good fit for the organization, I think the one thing that they really seem to be paying attention to that in the past the Cavs necessarily didn't is that every part, like when they bring in, when you read an Evan Mobley interview, when you read it in text, not hear it, because there's not a whole lot to get excited about,
Yeah.
but when you read it in text, and then you read any of these other players' text interviews, you're like, boy, these guys are all saying not just the right thing, but the same thing. They sound like the same guy. And I think the organization should be applauded for bringing in not just great players, but we were talking about like these might be like the players least likely to get arrested.
Nerds.
You know, nerds. We want
talented
nerds.
nerds.
We want nerds that can ball out.
That's it.
You love that. I mean, I am also like I consider myself a nerd, so maybe that's also why I love this so much is because I'm like team nerd.
Yeah.
It's
you
the
know?
revenge of the
Tim
nerds.
Duncans. I want Tim Duncans on this team.
10 Tim Duncans,
One of my,
and you're going to win one title after
You know,
another.
The Onion. One of my favorite Onion articles, real fast. Tim Duncan, huge nerd, as we all know. You all know about, obviously, Wilt Chamberlain's record of sleeping with women.
Yeah.
Onion article headline was, Tim Duncan admits to being friends with over 1,000 women. That is brilliant.
That is pretty good.
My favorite Tim Duncan is that he shops at Marshall's.
Of course he does.
I wouldn't.
That's where the best values are.
that's
Logical.
Wait, now we need to know where Darius Garland shops or Jared Allen. Where do they
Yeah,
shop?
well, Darius Garland, I will tell you, he likes to shop. I don't know the specific stores because the stores that we had this actual conversation,
Yeah.
Darius and I, in Miami because he was on his way out to go shopping.
Yeah.
And I asked him where he went. And let's just put it this way. I can't tell you where he went because it was a store that would be much above
So expensive that we're not
any
allowed to know the
grade.
name of it.
No, it's not. I mean, maybe,
Probably.
but he's not like a Gucci or a Versace type of guy.
Okay.
He's not like a labels guy, but he does like the unique stuff that nobody else has.
Yeah.
That is probably still out of
Like the
place.
high-end boutique
He
stuff.
has his own style.
Yeah, he
That's
does.
for sure.
What do you got,
Cool guy.
McNuggets?
Want to see the Tyvus trade?
Oh, yeah. Tyvus Powell
Yeah.
tweeted that he would trade LeBron for...
He'll be on with us tomorrow, of course.
Yeah, so we'll hold him to account for this tomorrow.
Sorry, we're
It's
just
coming. Give us
we're
one
firing
sec.
up the screenshot machine right now.
I don't think they're going to make a trade.
Allen, Sexton, and Okoro. I
Yeah,
am not
no,
trading Jared
no way.
Allen.
Yeah,
Absolutely
Allen's
not.
And listen, I was one of the stupid people who about 6 months ago said, I don't want LeBron back here. I was an idiot. Okay.
But look how he says that. He admits it.
I admit it. Yeah,
he
that's
owns
nice.
it.
I was an idiot. LeBron is still a great player, and I would love him to come back to the Cavs. But he's going to be a free agent in a year, and the Cavs are not going to win. I think even if they made that trade, I don't think the Cavs would win a
I
championship
don't think
this year.
LeBron would
I don't think
like
LeBron
that
would wanna
trade
do that.
because he
No.
doesn't want to weaken this Cavs
I
roster.
want LeBron to come back here if it's miraculously gonna happen with the best possible team, and that includes not messing with their top 3 guys. I'm not messing with those guys. They're going nowhere.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So if I could get LeBron somehow just trading Okoro and a bunch of
straight
draft
up.
picks,
Yeah,
fine.
but that obviously won't
So,
happen.
Serena, let me ask you this question. We talk about Darius Garland.
Yeah.
We talk about Allen. We talk about Evan Mobley. In 3 years, who's the Cavs' best player?
Great question.
That's a tough question.
That is such a tough question.
You just don't know how each one's going to develop.
You don't, and there's because Evan Mobley has only been in the league for 1 year, and for me, how good he is right now defensively, being a rookie, is unbelievable to me.
So is that your answer?
You guys are making me choose one or the other?
You gotta choose.
Yeah. And then we'll all choose too. But
it feels like Jared Allen is at his peak, right? Like, I don't know if there's any better. It's already really good.
Yeah.
Whereas Garland and Mobley certainly Mobley still has room to grow.
First of all, they both have room. Darius
Yeah.
still has a ton of room to grow. And I think Darius is going to be a guy in the fourth quarter, is kind of like Jimmy Butler, who's just going to take over a game. But I think in terms of how much more room they have to grow, I think we're just going to see a much bigger leap for Evan. Like, we saw such a big leap for Darius this year, and we are going to see a leap for Evan over these next couple of years that's so much bigger.
He never really at any time this year did I look at him and say, yeah, he's a rookie.
No.
He just didn't look like that guy. But
So
to your
many
point,
times.
the learning curve at that position is incredible in the NBA because he has never played against this size and the quality of player and night after night. I agree with you. I think that Mobley has the potential to
100%,
be an absolute superstar that you could ride a team to a title. I believe it's going to be that good.
Here's why it's got to be Mobley, I think, assuming he stays relatively healthy in his career. Because when we think of the best player, we always just think of offense first. But I want that's my beef with Colin Sexton is he's a one-dimensional player. I like his one dimension. It's really good, but I don't think he really does anything else, or not much of anything else, just my opinion. But with Mobley, as a rookie, what was he, 19?
Yeah, I mean, he's 20 now.
So he's 19. He was already an elite defender.
Oh, yeah.
Not for a rookie. He was an elite defender, period.
Right, take the rookie
So
tag
he's
off.
already got that at a high level at 19. If his offensive game develops as much as it could potentially, then he's just going to be, he's going to be in a routine all-star every
to
year.
your point, opponents shot 57%, I believe, against him at the rim within 5 feet. As a rookie?
Yeah,
that's
rookie? Crazy.
And he's just going to get smarter about it, too?
Yes,
just
exactly.
And he's going to get bigger, and he's going to put on some weight.
I think there's going to be a lot of Tim Duncan to this guy's game. Tim would add something to his game.
And hopefully his
offensively
nightlife. Hopefully his
every year.
nightlife
But you know what the good news is? The reason the question's still hard to answer, even though we all think is Mobley, is because Allen's awesome and Garland was phenomenal.
And I think there's upside to both of those guys too. It's not like they certainly haven't plateaued.
I think Allen is what he is, my opinion. I don't think he's got another level. I don't know. I think
old is he?
Last year he reached his level.
Guys, as the players around him become
Maybe you're
better,
right. I hope you're right. I think where he is already is good enough.
I'll take him
because
on
he's
top
their
of
third
that,
best
though,
player.
okay, we're obviously an NBA playoff season.
Yeah.
And regular season and playoffs, they are two different beasts. And
That's
the roles
true.
that guys play, and this is another reason why the question's so hard for me to answer, is because depending on what you need in a playoff game, right? Like, you're going to have Evan Mobley, and he's going to be steady Eddie and great on both ends of the floor, and you're going to need that throughout a whole series. Yeah. But what you are also going to need is Darius Garland in the fourth quarter putting up, ridiculous numbers,
taking
and
over a
getting
game,
bucket whenever you can.
Yeah.
Because one thing in the NBA playoffs that is absolutely invaluable is knowing that if you get that guy the ball, he will get you a bucket. And that is something that I think Darius Garland has above everybody else.
Yeah.
Do you think LeBron, sorry to cut you guys off, but we were talking about LeBron there for a second. I got to know, do you think these players, and none of these guys except for Kevin Love, right, have played with LeBron that I can think of?
No, none of them have.
Right? They're all young. LeBron usually wants to play with veterans, but this team is so talented. In pie in the sky theory, say a year from now, LeBron has not signed an extension with the Lakers, and he wants to come back as a free agent and play with these guys. How do you think they would honestly feel about that? Would they all be thrilled? Or would you think, you don't have to name names, but do you think there'd be a couple of guys that'd be a little hesitant about it?
You got to remember that I came here in January, right?
So, you don't
so
know them
I've
that
been
well.
around these guys since January.
Okay.
So I don't want to put any words in their
Fair.
mouths. I can say that if I were them, like, there's something to be said right now of doing things post LeBron era, right? Like, there's something to be said about we are doing this post LeBron
on our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I also think, looking back at like Kobe's final years and the invaluable experience that has given to some guys in the league, whether it's the Brandon Ingrams or the Kyle Kuzmas or the Jordan Clarksons that were all part of the years that Kobe was kind of, fading out there. There's something to be said about that too. So, I mean, that's such a hard question to answer from
I think if
their
those kids had the
perspective.
potential to play with one of the two best players of all time,
Wouldn't you
they
say
wouldn't
yes?
shoot it down.
I can't
and I think the
imagine that
downtown
they
businesses
wouldn't
would probably
all
really
jump.
appreciate it too.
Yeah, well, 4th Street would be. I can't
LeBron
imagine
will
they
have to
wouldn't all jump
change.
at it.
I think LeBron's going to have to adjust to playing.
If there's ever been a player who could do that, because we saw when Jordan went to Washington, it was awkward at times because
and he was
might
still
have
good.
been, he was still good, but he might have been the only guy in the building on certain nights that didn't understand that he was no longer that guy. I think with LeBron, I do believe that because every part of his game is so accomplished, if he wants to take on any given night and say, I'm going to have 15 assists tonight, he can do that and just not focus all of his energies on either scoring or rebounding or anything else. If he what do they need? They need a wing. They need a playmaking wing. Okay, let's just put all the playmaking wings' names in a hopper. Which one do you want to pull out? I don't care if he's 38 or 40.
Right.
I haven't seen a drop-off. I haven't seen his game diminish to the point where I would say, I don't think this is the guy that can put them over the hump.
Diminished. He scored 30 last year.
And can. And will probably do that next year.
This is going to be the question with LeBron. It's all going to be about whether he is comfortable eventually being a player who is not LeBron. Who only scores 15 points some games and does it. If he's comfortable with that, he cares about legacy. He cares about stats. He cares about breaking every record. He could probably play for another 10 years the way he keeps his body going in some capacity. You know what I mean? Like he could play. He could just he could play like an old, slower center essentially if he wants those stats. But if he can't stand going out there and not being LeBron and not being the star that he was, then it's going to be up to him in the long run.
That's my point, though. I think his personality is
he's been
able to take a back seat. He's the best passer of the basketball I've ever seen.
Right, but he's still always been the number one star on the team.
I know he has.
Can his ego handle?
But I think for a guy with his ability to have the ability to play, make, and score and take over a game, how many times have we seen him pass up a last-second shot because there's a guy that's wide open and I can get him the basketball. What I'm saying is I think in the micro, he's not a selfish player. And I think it takes a selfless player to be able to check that ego of being I once was the greatest. You have to be able to check that and say I'm a contributor now and I'm here to make everybody around me better and to show them the way.
And he's
I think he
totally
can make
capable
that
of doing
transition, and I think he can do it without a problem. G, you're being awfully quiet.
First of all, LeBron is the best player. He's one of the best players in the world right now.
No argument.
Second of all, I think there's a thing to be said for Kyrie Irving just came out and said he really didn't realize what it was and how good he had it until he went somewhere else. He said, man, we could have won championships. We could have did a lot of different things if my mind state was saying, you know what, I kind of got it good. I think it would take some time, right? Because as a young dude, basketball is a young man's game, right? You think at that point in time, you ain't making concessions under the age of 26. Colin Sexton, I want a mega deal. Darius Garland wants a mega deal. They want a legacy on their own. So the thought process of LeBron coming back in, like to your point is, I mean,
he can get all the credit
if you win here, that's LeBron's credit. But if you win here without LeBron, you're immortal.
That's a huge if, though, and I'm just not sure. Even with the stars they have on this team, I look at how far they are away from Boston and Golden State right now. I think my biggest regret of the last year was that they didn't get a playoff series because you mentioned this earlier, and this is so true. If you watch regular season basketball and that's all you know, and then you watch the playoffs, every sport kicks it up a notch. I think the NBA kicks it up 5 notches. It's almost like they're just running the marathon just to finish in the top 30, and then the real race starts.
Look where Boston was at to start the regular season.
Exactly, and that's my point.
I mean, the conversation that we were having.
And the Cavs were in the other place. The Cavs are, and I kept telling anybody that would listen, they're playing too hard on defense. It's great that they can play defense, but they're playing defense against teams that are in regular season mode.
And that's something I'm curious about for next season, right? Like, you're this young team who got to where you were and the success that you had during the regular season because you played so hard to start the year.
It's not necessary.
So what do you learn though for the next year? Because you want to do that because it got you to where you were.
Right.
But at the same time,
but it didn't get you in the race.
At the same time, look at where where Boston is, right? Or look at where these other teams are, and
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's what you learn.
They were off so hot in February.
Yeah, but the playoffs weren't a given for them, so they had to keep.
No, but you know what? Like,
you remember, like when LeBron was here, and he would just like for the first 20 games, he'd just be checking his stocks, not coming back on D, not playing at all. So, but they knew they were going to the playoffs.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But in February, at the All-Star break, when you look at the standings, I think they were like a game or 2 games out of the one.
There was no question that they were going to be in the playoffs.
I felt they were. I felt like, okay, they're in.
Yeah.
Now they can take their foot off the gas a little bit, save themselves.
But that's when the injuries started piling up,
killed them.
too.
There's no question. I mean, but I wish they could have, even if they would have pulled a Brooklyn in the first round and got swept,
100%.
it would have been an invaluable experience because now next year they've got to go through that for the first time, and they're going to be wide-eyed when they see how much the level of play across the league goes up with that first tip in the playoffs. It's astounding how much different it is.
And Serena J, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but 2 years ago, the Knicks had that great surprise regular season.
Yeah.
And they got knocked out in the playoffs, and then they were terrible last year. I think the Cavs are a better team, and they're better coached. But, it kind of reminds me of that. Like, there was a lot of hype for the Knicks going into the playoffs, and they just disappeared. We haven't heard from them again.
I don't think you can naturally just assume from year to year you're going to be there.
That's true.
Atlanta Hawks went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got put out.
Yeah.
I think that what it matters is we see when you have stars, if you develop one of those top 5 guys, you are now in a program where you can coast and do some of those things.
Right.
If you got a guy like Evan Mobley who comes along and says, I'm moving from 15-10 to 21-12 and a couple block shots, I think now you have a situation with Colin Sexton where you can put the Cavs in a 4 or 5 slot and see what happens. But year to year is tough in the NBA.
It is very tough.
Very tough.
Can you stick around for the top 5?
I can.
All right, wonderful.
I can.
McNuggets, what's our top 5 today?
With Serena in-house, we did top 5 NBA cities, and as always, the Ultimate 5 is sponsored by our favorite, Roundstone Insurance.
Roundstone.
Affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. So with that being said,
you got to get Roundstone. If you don't have Roundstone yet, honestly, Serena, if you don't have Roundstone yet, you got to get it.
Yes.
There it is.
I dropped the health insurance they were giving us at work and just picked up Roundstone.
I'd
rather pay for it because it's better.
That is incredible.
Play.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
all
incredible.
the kids are doing that, Mike.
Wait, clarify this top 5, Mike.
Yeah,
It's
what
just
is
a
it?
top
Yeah, so
5. You go ahead.
I have been to NBA games in 13 different cities.
Oh,
Okay.
Not to brag, but it's probably the coolest thing I've done.
Okay.
So this is the top 5
tragic.
of the 13. I'm young, Polk. I'm still young.
All right, that's true.
Well, in full disclosure, he's got a buddy that gets some free tickets. So
But yeah, I've paid.
So you should be no more than 13.
just got sadder.
So
Go
Mike,
on.
is this though like top 5 NBA cities to watch a game or to go to?
Or that you've
Is
been
it about
to.
the city
Kind
or
of
about
like
the
a
team?
mix. These lists, Serena, you got to understand.
they're a mess. He's all
Yeah.
over the board.
All right,
Yeah.
let's start off.
It's all over
we
the
can
place.
rip
That's
him.
what I
It's not a great system.
Feel free to rip him during
Okay,
the
good.
entire
That's
list.
the whole point of this. Yeah, all right, so let's start. And also, before you punch this up, Steve, I guess too late. Anthony had a little confusion on the pictures.
Wow, number
So we're going to
5.
throw Anthony out. But number 5 is New York City.
How's
I'm
that
from New
5?
Jersey. Listen, I'm from New Jersey. I spent a lot of time in New York growing up. It's a little overrated to me. But it's still a great city.
Wow.
What you
Overrated.
New York City
How?
is overrated.
It's the mecca
It's
of
too big.
basketball. It's where
It's too big.
It's not a great.
Have you looked up at the ceiling at MSG at Madison Square Garden?
It is pretty
It's
incredible.
MSG's phenomenal, but also Barclays is not as cool as MSG. So it got a hit. 'cause
Barclays is new.
and New
Yeah.
York City are both there.
Just the history
I mean,
of the
Kobe,
Garden.
LeBron, they get 50 when they go to Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden is
You
it.
also have to
Rucker
watch
Park.
the Knicks every night at Madison Square.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
but
true. That's
this-
true.
good
New York
point.
City, in terms of visiting, listen, I'm the one who's from New York here originally, so I will. It's not, there's flaws in living in New York City. Certainly in Manhattan, it's very expensive to live. However, in terms of visiting as like a fun place to go, there's nothing better.
Yeah, it is a great city.
Yeah.
It's just way too low.
Yeah.
It's top 5. Don't worry.
Yeah,
And is this, I'm sorry, this is the city themselves? That's what we're doing?
No, he's all over the
hasn't
map.
really
It's supposed
clarified.
to be like,
Is it the arena?
So St. Louis is a baseball city. New York
St.
is a
Louis is
basketball
not on the
city.
list. I can
Why?
assure you that.
Yeah, you don't.
Oh, they should
New
be.
York is
They're
not a
an NBA
basketball
team.
city, by the way.
Okay.
Not at all.
It's not.
Like, should we be thinking of museums, is what I'm wondering. Like, other things to do in the city, the food, or is it just, like, cities you like that have NBA arenas in them, but just, I'm just not clear.
You're overthinking it.
I am
Let's
overthinking
Yeah,
it.
Mike, you're
Sorry.
overthinking this.
I am, sorry.
Let's just get to number 4.
I apologize.
Mikey's list. We're living in it.
Philadelphia.
All right. I would have had
Eli
to
is now the video coordinator for the 76ers. Yeah, I'm a little biased here. but
See,
Philly's also
that's
a
the
great
thing.
city.
I'm biased
these are
too.
just,
I
These
live
are just
there.
based on like if he happened to like get laid in one of these cities or something like that, probably. Then he's just right then he's just like San Antonio, the best place in the world.
I'm all about San Antonio.
San Antonio's not on this list.
I like San Antonio, but it shouldn't be on the list.
It's not
Philadelphia's
the
a
top.
solid
well,
city.
I
like
think we
that.
should hear
I
from
like that.
Serena because Serena knows Philly very
Yes.
well.
I mean, I can tell you my favorite thing about Philly and living in Philly and covering the 76ers is going to breakfast on a Saturday or Sunday, and you are listening to all of the conversations around you be about your teams. Like, the sports is embedded in everything
Really is.
growing up, and it's so fun to be just eating eggs and bacon and listening to, like, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a grandmother all talk about the Sixers or the Eagles, and that's something for me and all the cities that I've been in.
Who is it?
didn't
Who's
have that.
key? So if both teams are good, what's the lead in Philadelphia radio?
Eagles.
Eagles all day.
All day, every day.
And
yeah.
so then, would it between the Phillies and the Sixers? Where they?
I mean, I gotta say the Sixers.
I
so,
think
too.
that's based on who's doing better.
There is a bit of that.
But
yeah,
Philly-
the Eagles
Philly,
win the day.
just like
Did you do
Cleveland,
sports
though.
talk in Philly or no? Not in
I
Philly.
was their sideline reporter.
I
for
did.
the
No,
Sixers.
I knew that, but I didn't know it. I did 1 week of hosting
Oh.
a show at WIP.
How'd it go? Pretty well?
Well, obviously not.
Oh, all right, never mind.
I worked with not Spike Eskin. That's his son, Howard Eskin.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a little crazy. He was the first guy I ever worked with that was using his phone while we were doing a radio show, and I was like,
Wow.
what is he doing?
What is this, the future?
This was like 50.
Right.
This was like 15 years ago. I don't know what was happening. But Philly, my beef with Philly, as being from New York originally, obviously, my beef with Philly and Boston is they have such a chip on their shoulder for New York because they're jealous. They're cool Northeast cities.
Yep.
They're both great cities, but they're not as good as New York, and they're jealous of New York, and so they hate New
They
York.
have a second city syndrome,
Yes,
no doubt.
there's no doubt.
Now, you'd probably disagree with that.
I
but,
do.
Where are you born and raised?
Southern California.
Okay, so what do you
Yeah.
care about Philly?
Well, she worked there.
I worked
Southern
there.
California's
I lived
the
there.
best.
I loved Philly. I thought the thing I loved about Philly was, and I used to in the summer. My family's in New York as well,
Right.
so I used to in the summertime as a kid. That's where I'd live was Long Island. I mean, it's basically a different state, but
not New York
it's
City,
not New York
technically.
City technically.
Yeah.
But with Philly, like you
Yeah.
can walk anywhere. The food scene is so underrated.
Food's great.
It's a sports town.
Geno's
as you
or
said,
Pat's?
New York, neither. D'Alessandro's.
I'm with you. I think they're both overrated.
Neither one. Right. Yeah.
But New York is not a sports town, and
Yes, it is.
It's not like Philly is. It feels different.
So she's right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
She's right because when the Giants are 3-13, it's not front page news like it is in Philly, even
Exactly.
when the Eagles are 3-13.
Exactly.
Because they want to kill all the coaches and all the players.
Yeah, there's so many
100%.
and
people.
Giants
in New York.
fans just unplug and they're like, well, we'll be better next
And here's
year.
an example why that is. I remember the Rock Hall opened up. Thank you, Redstone. I remember the Rock Hall opened up an annex in New York City.
Yeah.
And everybody was mad here about it and stuff. Like, why are you putting one there and stuff? It closed within like 3 months because there's
too
just
much to
too much
do.
to do.
There is a lot.
There-
There-
Make a ripple.
No one is a psycho in the way about something. They're not psychos
Yeah.
in the way that we are because they
Yeah.
don't focus in on one thing because there's too many things.
it's the same thing with California, where I grew up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like
Well, you guys
it is-
get
But
to
New
the
York
games in
New
the
York
third
is a
inning
much
and
better
leave in
sports
the
town than
seventh.
any place on the West Coast.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
I
there's
mean,
a
I was doing
similarity.
overnight shows on radio in New York, and I'd get calls for the entire show. So
Yeah,
there's
There are also 30
it's just
million people
there are a lot of people in New York that don't care about sports too, but it's such a big city.
Sure.
But I agree. I think the percentage of people into sports in Philly is probably higher, same as in Cleveland, which is the highest of any.
Philly
Even
has
better than
Philly has
Sure.
great rappers. Shout out to Beat Mill, Beanie Siegel, Gilly the Kid. Make
Shout 'em out.
Shout them out. That's what's up, man.
All right,
Those
number
count for me,
three.
too.
Number
Those
three.
shout-outs
We're taking
count
too
for
long
me.
on this list.
Number 3, Cleveland, Ohio / Boston. One's a Roundstone pick, one's a real pick.
Wait.
There you go.
What?
We had a sponsored pick here. Cleveland, Ohio had to be on the list.
Oh, I see. Okay, so we had to put it on.
Hey,
So
what you
this
mean
one's
you
not
had
even.
to?
It should have been top 5, not besides Cleveland, because we're all biased.
Listen, we have to pay the bills here, and I'm the only one who's allowed to.
So you made a
ads,
top 5 list, and one of yours is a lie? Like one of them is just
you're
something.
saying that?
It's not a lie.
You're
Listen,
placating our city?
No,
And
no,
then
no, no.
telling us you're doing it?
Cleveland is a great sports city. I've learned in my 6 weeks here.
Listen,
6
Mike,
weeks
you're
here.
obviously new to Cleveland.
Very down.
Because you don't say what you just said on a
Thank you.
Cleveland sports TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Cleveland is. I told you guys the first time.
Yep.
I went to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse on my first night here.
Yes.
And I left blown away. That stadium is beautiful.
Yeah.
The Jumbotron is maybe the nicest in the
Thank you for
NBA.
complimenting our Jumbotron. Thank you.
Yeah.
It really is a great Jumbotron, though,
Yeah.
admittedly. So, and I thought the game day atmosphere was awesome. When you think of basketball cities, I don't think Cleveland, it's a football town. It doesn't come to mind immediately.
Okay.
But Cleveland is a great
Keep
sports
digging
city.
your grave. Digging your
If we
grave.
get LeBron back, you can
Move
put
on.
us
All right,
Move
what's
on,
number
move on.
2, or is it number 2?
No, this is the real 1 and 2 here.
okay.
Real 1 and 2 here.
Is it-
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, that's
elite,
embarrassing.
elite
A
basketball.
basketball
See,
city.
now
Are
your
you
Texas
kidding?
roots are
Okay,
coming
Elite
out.
no.
basketball
No, you
Talk
have
to
just
him.
completely
Talk to
lost
him.
me.
Yeah.
Like, I have zero respect for this
And
list
she
anymore.
should know.
Zero respect.
She's been to all
Dallas?
the cities,
Dallas.
all the
It's a
arenas.
great
Number
bas-
2?
Yeah, it's a
Mike.
great basketball city.
Bro.
Great
When
basketball
did you
city.
start working in basketball?
I
just
think of
went
Dallas,
there
I think of
once.
football and incest. That's all I think about.
Yeah.
Dallas?
Did I go
Wow.
too far?
That's what's on the
No,
sign
moving on,
on the
moving
way
on,
in
number
there.
one. Number one. Terrible
I'm out of
sports
control.
fans.
What?
City.
That's my
Yeah.
friend today.
Oh my God.
That's the
What
worst
are you
sports city in
talking
America.
You know what? He's such a kid.
He had
such a
Oh,
young.
my
Also,
God.
that is the worst arena to watch a basketball
It is,
game.
it's terrible.
It is
But hold on.
absolutely awful.
I have to add one caveat. Eli, before he worked for the Sixers, was the video guy for the Heat, so I sat courtside at the Heat twice. Boom, number 1.
Who the hell's
NBA
Eli,
city.
by the way?
So this
Oh,
is
that's your friend?
That's his buddy that's getting him these freebies all over.
Do you
the
remember
place.
the-
Say
you remember
Eli
the
as if we
Miami-
even know who he is.
Remember the
I
finals
don't
game
know
in
who he
Miami
is.
where everyone was
I do, though,
leaving?
and it's my list.
Do you remember that during the Miami's finals
Yeah.
game where they were
Fans
that they ended
leaving.
up winning and the fans are just leaving because they thought it was over?
of
and then
course.
worst basketball
It's awful.
fans, worst basketball fans
Yeah.
in the league.
It wasn't best basketball arenas. It was best cities that I like to go watch basketball.
Oh my God.
Miami's a
Well,
great
you
city.
didn't
one of
really
the
clarify
worst,
that.
No. The Miami Heat Arena is one of the worst arenas to watch a basketball game. And I'm saying that as a sideline reporter who sits there courtside. It is awful.
So
Yeah, it's really not much. I really feel sorry for you today,
it's just a
Mike. You're taking it
retitling
from
of the
all fronts
list.
here.
That's all that would have taken. Just say 5 NBA cities. Let's name them.
I want to hear Serena's favorite.
Serena, have you
Not-
been to every-
Obviously, we're taking the Cavs
Yeah.
out of the mix because it's the best. We know that.
Right.
But where is your favorite place to work a courtside game?
So if you're asking to work a courtside game, then it's has nothing to do with favorite NBA cities. But I
Okay.
love going to Indiana. I love
Wow.
working a game
Wow.
in Indiana.
Has anyone ever said that about Indiana?
I
Never.
probably
You don't
not.
hear that a lot.
No.
But you said specifically working
Yes.
a game.
Yeah.
And I love the field house. I love the lighting there. And
Yep.
when the field house is open and it like lets the natural sunlight
It
in.
is-
and
that
they
is kind of a
also-
cool feature.
Let me tell you, it's about my seat. And they put me in it courtside, but like in a propped up seat, so
Queen
I can
treatment.
actually see
Queen
the
treatment,
entire game.
yeah.
And people,
Wow.
like, as the years go by, our seats get worse and worse, and so it's like, call me a tunnel reporter who's watching a game off a monitor because half the
Yeah,
game
that's
time I
tough.
cannot.
They're like,
see
we can
the
fit
game.
2 rich people where you were
It's
standing.
Right.
100% what it is.
That's what
And
that-
it's
that's
like,
what it is.
I'm literally sometimes I cannot see any of the game, and you want me to report on the game, and I'm
Right.
watching it off this. Talk about bad cities, San Antonio. They put you in a tunnel, and you have a monitor about 6 inches that you have to watch a game off
That's
of.
insane.
So to work a game,
not a
I
great system.
love Indiana.
Now, does St. Elmo's factor into the fact that you love going to Indianapolis because
Doesn't.
you don't like the restaurant?
It's not that I don't like the restaurant.
It
It
just
doesn't
doesn't do it.
Doesn't factor in.
Okay.
What's the worst interaction you ever had with a player? Like somebody who gave you the business,
That's a
or
good
you were
question.
just like, or who you were just like, oh, okay. Because I worked for the Cavs briefly for 1 year, and Latrell Sprewell told me to get the F off the court or he'd F and kill me.
That's not.
that's so
True,
unlike
yeah, it's true.
Latrell.
It was right after he had choked his coach.
PJ Carlesimo.
Yeah, Carlesimo.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm going to let him have this one. And I just like backed off slowly.
gotta know-
Have you ever had,
pick
I
your
mean, probably
battles.
nothing along those lines where someone
I
threatened
have
to kill
not
you.
had anything.
Nothing negative,
off
though?
those lines in terms of like a player threatening to kill me.
Oh, okay. Well,
Only thing I can think of is some players like have handlers, right? So rather than them talk to you, they prefer like someone else to call you and kind of give you a little.
And that person is.
Come on.
Oh,
Come on. Nice try,
No
though.
names needed.
Dang it.
Here's the thing.
What
is
about a retiree?
When you've been working in the NBA for this long, if I were to then tell you who that was and that person is still, a player,
They won't.
wouldn't
Their
work.
assistant won't talk to you
I'm
anymore.
a little bit smarter than that. I'm a little bit
I
smarter
see.
than that. But hey, maybe when the player
Self-preservation.
retires.
All right, well, I look forward to reading the tell-all book in
Why did
57
Latrell
years.
Sprewell tell you to get the F off the court or he was going to F
He was
kill
just
you?
in a sassy mood. I was out there like doing an announcement before the game, like saying, "Hey, everybody, go buy stuff in the gift store," or something like that. And he was shooting around, and I was just in his way. So he was
He
like,
said because he's a D-bag.
Yeah, he was. He was like, "Get the
that's
F
what he
off the
is.
court."
He's a bad guy.
I'm like, "Will do, Latrell Sprewell," because I fear
Copy
you.
that.
Can I tell you the opposite, though, which
Sure.
is one of the things, like with Cleveland, where when I came here it was mid-season, right? I mean, it's tough. You're coming in, you know nobody.
Sure.
Usually you have media day, you're meeting guys, you're getting to know people. I was just thrown into games and having to interview
That's an
people.
odd time to start,
Very
isn't it?
odd
I remember
time.
your first game. I remember watching your first game and being like, "Wow, they're really throwing her into the wolves
They
here."
just
And,
throw you
and
in.
masked, I think, too.
Oh,
Wasn't
and
it? It was a
masked.
nightmare.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
just all the things.
You did really well, though.
I
thought
appreciate
that was great.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
But to go back to like the uniqueness of this team, right? There was when I first started traveling with the Cavs. So I like kind of keep my, I'm on the team playing. I keep my head down and kind of get back to my seat. I like to make sure that players know, like, you guys do your thing, I do my thing. We're professionals about it.
You're not
I'm not
reporting
trying
on
to.
them on the
I'm not trying to
plane.
get in your space
Yeah,
or
that's
look
cool.
at what you guys are doing on the plane. That's just how I go about doing things. So I get on the plane. I kind of put my head down, go to the back to my seat, and Darius comes out and he puts a fake microphone in my face, and he says something to me like, "Oh, where are you trying to get to?" Like he's like
Interviewing
me type of
That's
thing.
cool, yeah.
And that to me, it might sound little to you guys or to somebody watching, but that to me showed a side to this team. Like no one has ever
That's awesome.
done
That's a
that
big deal.
type of thing.
It's a great icebreaker, too.
It is.
Yep.
It
It
is.
really
right?
is, to
Like, he
welcome
didn't-
you to the team.
He didn't have to do that.
Nope.
He did not have to do that.
And he's a leader, and that signals to everybody else that you're
Right.
okay by
Accept
him,
you as
that
part
you're
of the
okay by
team,
him,
yeah.
and everybody should treat you, and
He
everybody
really went
should
over
accept
and
him.
above. That's
good to
really
hear.
cool.
I love my
good,
nerds.
right?
I
Right?
love my nerds.
Let's cheer for Darius
why.
Garland for that. I like that.
And their coach
Good
dads.
job, Darius.
And the,
You used to hoop, by the way. When you come back, you got to tell us about your hooping career and how many points was the greatest game you've ever had. So you gotta come back.
Mike is living off his senior night was his only start in college, and he had like
Not
I hear
true.
ya.
I was 4-0 in college.
as a starter.
4-0.
And
I just didn't play in a lot of games too.
But
I
on
didn't play in a
senior
lot, but I
night, you
was
nailed
4-0.
like
Who
4 or
has
5
records? I
three-pointers.
never think of records with a basketball player.
Well, it's all about Mikey. You
When you
know,
only start
guys,
four,
we're
it's pretty easy
4-0
to
when I
remember the
started.
record.
4-0.
When you only start 4, it's
You're not
pretty
a
easy to
pitcher.
remember.
well,
Yeah.
we'll hear about someone who matters though later and about their actual career.
No,
And that's
I
it.
wish.
Hey,
I
listen,
wish.
we're thrilled to have you on board.
you, Serena.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. Thank you so much.
We're trying to bring you into the group.
That's
Trying to
nice.
bring
I
you
like
into
the
group.
icebreaker.
Well done. Very well done. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Sounds good, guys.
All right. What are we going to do when we come back? Are we going to do
Judge Jay.
We're doing Judge Jay.
We're doing Judge Jay,
All right.
absolutely.
Serena, thanks again for coming. We're taking
Serena!
Woo! Judge Jay deals with a fantasy football league gone wild.
Cleveland sports to me is bigger than anything. It's bigger than some people's marriages. They say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. No. Dallas is not America's team. Cleveland is America's team. And sports in Cleveland is a religion. It's a way of life. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter. Sports is a way for people in Cleveland to get together, and it's something that can't be replicated in Cleveland. Sports is a thing.
Recognize that feeling? It is the feeling of being together, enjoying the company of a familiar face, and sharing moments that matter to you, to me, to us. What matters to some could impact all of us, especially in a place like Northeast Ohio. Here, stories are shared from east to west to south. Stories of perseverance, of family, of love. If a story brings us together, it's what matters most.
News you can trust should be news you can rely on.
And every night at 11 on What's Next, you can rely on us.
A new legal twist for Brown.
Today also marks the beginning of ODOT's.
Here, and we are going to continue.
So the Guardians have to play almost.
You can rely on us to help you go to bed better informed with stories that prepare you for tomorrow.
And with news that's relevant to your life. we'll make sure that you're ready for what's next.
Because being ready for tomorrow is what matters most.
Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I am a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. I have carried my fandom every city I've ever lived in. People have always asked me, why are you so diehard about Cleveland? It's because I'm from here. And we know how much our teams mean to us. Most of us know that because of our parents. In my case, my father was just a huge Cleveland sports fan. It was really part of our life. It was woven into everything we did. And it was our connection throughout his life. What the? I know. I like him, man.
Can I?
All right, we're back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Time for Judge Jay. But as I bring the court to session, Mike, you have a correction for the record.
Your Honor, I have to correct the record. Horribly embarrassing.
I know.
First mistake we have ever made on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show so far.
I was calling Connor Shaw Connor Cook like 13 times.
Yeah, but he didn't deserve any better.
True.
Okay, I had a hunch earlier on when we said there was only one other player on the team when LeBron was here, and that was Kevin Love. And I'm like, you know what? No.
I co-signed it. The second I did, I'm like, no,
I was
that's
like,
not right.
And I looked it up, and sure enough, Mr. Chetty Osman was on the Cavs.
That's right. And I don't want to cut him short because we love him.
Yeah,
we love him.
Love
But he
Chetty.
didn't play on that team very much.
But he was on the squad,
He did
and I remember
play.
him like high-fiving LeBron and him looking like a child out there. And he's trying some different things with his hair over the last couple of years. None of them are working. Just knock it off, Chetty.
Oh, really?
Just stop. Just stop. Go high and tight. You look ridiculous.
Okay.
Jay, Your Honor, are you bewildered?
Yeah, I've lost something. But
By the way, I got to tell a very quick story, speaking of that team, about the time Matthew Dellavedova cut me off.
Hold on. I got to go to sidebar.
Okay.
Sidebar. Court
Yeah,
record. You can court reporter. You can take a second off.
So Matthew, there's a store right by down the block from the radio station, and it's a place, I can't remember the name of it, but where people go to get like fruit drinks, fruit smoothies.
Fruit smoothies. Okay.
I can't remember the name of the place. Anyway, I'm going to park in front of the radio station. This is a couple of years, I don't even remember what year it was, maybe 2017. And I'm about to I'm pulling down the block, and all of a sudden I see somebody make a crazy U-turn and snake the spot right in front of me.
Like a boomerang.
Exactly. And I'm like, what is going on? And then who do I see get out of the car to go to the fruit smoothie place? It's Matthew Dellavedova.
Deli cut you off hard.
That was my boomerang reference, just so everybody knows. He's an Australian.
Did you say anything to him?
On the air. He happened to come on the air with us like within a week or two of that. And I mentioned it on the air.
Was he super apologetic?
No, he had no clue. He wasn't driving crazy. He was just making a U-turn.
Hammered on Foster's.
Get him out of here.
But
most
I
likely.
thought it was funny. I got off by Deli.
That's pretty great. Hey, I had Jim Tomey pay for my parking meter one time.
Really?
That's true. Yep, I pulled up. Because he took my spot, Jim Tomey did, and so I had to pull like a couple back.
Yeah.
And I could tell he felt kind of bad, and he got out. And sure enough, there Jim Tomey comes up with a fistful of quarters. He's like, I got you, buddy. Because he felt bad about that.
Did you say, I know who you are, you're Jim Tomey?
I said, thanks, Jim Tomey. I appreciate that.
Why wasn't he parking in the player?
I don't know. It was downtown. He was going somewhere.
Oh, it wasn't
like
for a game.
No, it wasn't for a game.
Yeah,
Just like random. Yeah,
I got you.
I do feel like Brushes with Greatness could be a segment because I feel like everybody's had
my
them.
interaction with Jeff Garland once was great.
Save that one.
Oh, yeah,
for
okay.
when we actually
We'll do a
make
host segment. Save it. But we
Yeah.
got to
All
talk about this slap here, Jay.
Judge
we
Jay.
got to get to it.
Do you want to tell us what's
Yes.
on the docket here or what? Do you want me to do
sure.
it?
So if you didn't see, this came out
It's epic.
on Saturday. There was a slap heard around the world. Take a look. I'm going to play this a couple times. Ooh. It's Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson over a fantasy football beef. Peterson put a player on IR.
2 baseball players for those who don't know.
Pham didn't like it.
I've seen better footage.
This is all the footage of the slap there is.
It looks like footage of Bigfoot from like the woods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know what's happening
Well,
there. I don't know if those are kids.
96-3 with their big jab ownership doesn't help.
Bro,
Really hard
what
to.
is that?
It's really.
listen.
They want to make
Shout out to
sure
Big
everybody
Jam.
knows who had the video.
Yeah.
You know what that tells me, though, that there was video of that?
Yeah.
Pham told one of his teammates, watch this, I'm about to go smack
Yeah, because
Peterson's teeth out of his mouth.
who else is just doing that?
Why are you
Unless
randomly shooting that?
Maybe they heard a disagreement arising over there, and they were just like, "I better do this." What do you?
I don't know. Maybe this is his Facebook generation. Where I come from, if you open hand palm smack a man, you have to prepare to die.
It's on.
You get stabbed, shot, hit with a trash can.
Well, none of that is acceptable.
No.
Not smacking nor the retaliation.
No. Let's be clear. Retaliation is as a part of that. If you smack a grown man, you are fully able to retaliate.
Tell Chris
Not
Rock
by
that.
killing
Tell
somebody.
Chris
No,
Rock that.
I mean, but it all depends on what
Like,
neighborhood you're from.
you have every right to hit him back. Hit him back.
In the real world, what I think what G is saying is not what you recommend doing, but in the real world, when you put your open hand to a grown man's face, like whatever happens next,
that's on him.
You know,
See, I'll say though, for me, it depends on the size of the man. If it's someone who I think could kick the crap out of me, I'm probably not going to go back at that person.
Yeah, you're good. If
it's somebody who I think I have a chance at, or who is, God love him, much smaller than me, you bet I'm going to stand up for myself. That's
exactly
where
right.
I draw the line.
Yeah, you got to
Have you ever, any of you ever been slapped in the face?
Actually, this is a great story. Yes.
Wow, that was quick.
Got to hear this.
Yeah, this was, I was at OU. And at OU, I was the man. And I used to wear these extravagant costumes, like extravagant gear. And I had this silk button-up on. It was like fluorescent silk, and I had aviators, pink aviators.
Nice.
And it was
very subtle.
And I had a light-up belt that said G. Bush, and it scrolled.
Right.
So,
Oh my God! No, you didn't.
I swear to God.
But
we need a picture of this.
I have it.
We have to
we
see
can
this.
get you that.
You've always hated attention.
Yeah. I'm eating a Savaki sandwich in front of the pub in this place called the Dugout. It's a little perch. And soon as I turn around, I'm eating this sandwich, and it had extra spicy, like Savaki sauce on it.
Yeah.
And this conversion van pulls up. You know the conversion vans, they used to have the murals of the Out West on them? Like on the left side, they have a coyote with a
sometimes
cactus.
wizards.
God rest their soul. I remember those well.
This conversion van pulls up, and it's a team of dudes. Like this guy had cowboy boots on, but he was with, like, it was mixed people. It was like a black dude with him. I'm like, where'd you
That's
find?
confusing.
I'm confused as hell.
What do you represent?
I'm like, it's a cowboy, a hip hop dude, and a gangster, and another dude.
Sounds like the Village People.
Bro, these dudes jumped off like it was the Michael Jackson, the Beat It video.
Yeah, okay.
And it's my crew over there sitting by the wall, and his crew looking at my crew, and I'm still eating a sandwich. And they look
After post slap?
No, this before the slap.
Pre-slap.
I'm eating a sandwich. This guy walks up to me and says, "Buddy, you got lingerie on."
Uh-oh.
I said, it was kind of funny. My people laughed.
Yeah.
Like, G. Bush. I'm like, man, if you don't get up away from here, leave me alone. I'm trying to eat my situation. I turn around and walk away. Next thing I know, he goes and smacks my sandwich out of my hand.
The sandwich.
Smacks the sandwich. Now, that was a cardinal sin. I was hungry
Did
as
you
hell.
know this guy?
No.
Just so out of nowhere.
He came up to me and just wanted a 5-round bout. Wow. Like I'm like, bro, this dude really must have not liked me, bro. Pulled up in the conversion fan and started. Now here's
Do you
the
think
problem.
it was the belt buckle or the glasses that put him over the top?
He didn't like this button up. This button up was really silky. It was smooth as hell, like it had stripes. But by the way, he smacked it out of my hand. He ended up losing. He lost that night. He didn't know, like.
Who picks you to slap something out of their hand?
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
They was like, he must have thought I was the softest dude in the world.
Lord.
But I didn't have to do anything.
Or no?
I didn't have to hit him. I didn't do
Was he
anything.
big or no?
He was kind of big. He looked like Gold Dust, the wrestler.
Oh, dear.
So how'd it go
You
down
never know
after
what they're
that?
going to do.
Oh, well.
Your boys jumped him?
Oh, yeah. There's like people came out of the woods, and, you know, my brother is bigger than me. Like, my brother's like 6'3".
G. Bush is in trouble. They're all parachuting down.
They was like, listen, we was like, hey, they were like, we're poor. We mad and upset. We about to get this off. So, yeah, it didn't end up well for my man, but just the simple fact that he lined his team up and smacked my sandwich out of my face
You
and
never
caught me on the
established
side.
what? You never established intent or why they did that, though?
I
Nothing.
don't know to this day.
What team were they? Were they another team?
These were grown men like your age, bro. He was like 52.
What?
People party in different
That
ways.
is the most bizarre thing.
You
It's
know?
like it's like somebody dared them to do it.
really-
You know what? I think as I'm trying to make sense of this
Makes
story,
no sense.
somebody in there said, "Look at my man with the belt buckle and the shirt," and he goes,
the glasses.
Hey, Jimmy, I dare you. We slam on the brakes. I dare you get out and knock that sandwich out of his hand. That's how that comes.
That's how it
It
was.
probably did.
That's
the
probably how it
only thing that
happened.
makes any sense.
And then he got beat up and he got stumped on the curb. I don't know why.
But he won the bet.
By the way, he
did win the bet.
He did win the bet. And that's allegedly. If you come back and ask me what happened, I will deny everything. I don't know anything.
Did the Van Dorder slide shut when they saw that guy getting killed and drive away?
It was like,
It's kind of like the A-Team.
Bro.
Best of luck.
This man, hey.
No, they're more like the D team.
Yeah, they are now.
It was great. It was on the.
So did he win, Your Honor? Is that did we settle the case?
We got it.
Oh, wait.
Let me bring this court back to order. That was the biggest sidebar that we've ever experienced.
Yeah. Y'all let me get it off.
Here's the Judge J dilemma, okay? Yeah. We all love fantasy football. We all participate. I can't wait till we have the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Fantasy Football League. It is going to be lit like no other. But we were trying to figure out, are you team Peterson or are you team Pham? Well, there's no way you can support just going up to a grown man and slapping him in the face over a fantasy football dispute. So I don't think that's what we're going to debate here. I don't even know what the flashpoint needs to be, but it can't be was the slap legit because there's no way you can defend that slap.
And he didn't owe him no money.
Let me give you the backstory. The backstory was Peterson made a move that in his mind was a legal move. He put a player on IR who was actually out. He was out. You're allowed to do that. Well, for some reason, Pham took issue with that, and Pham started talking smack in the chat about it. Like, I see you over here cheating. Right. You know the one thing you can't do is call a grown man a cheater, especially if he ain't cheating. So then Peterson, according to Pham, responds with some derogatory comments about the Padres.
Who had choked that season.
In fairness.
So that's what got the whole thing started. Now, Pham ends up leaving the league in the middle of the season.
Which is lame.
Which is really lame. Yeah. So, I mean, if you've got beef with one guy in the league, okay, settle that like grown men. Yes. But when you leave the league, you throw the whole league into it's all
now that guy's
disarray.
on auto, and it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Well, let me tell you something, guys. I've been playing fantasy sports for 31 years, 1991.
Winner of the Geek Award for the day.
Yeah, a lot of pride in that.
It was
31 years.
I mean, you had a pencil. You're looking through the paper and keeping scores.
Tablets back then.
31 years ago, they were doing stats out of the newspaper, out of box
by
scores
hand,
in the
without a
newspaper.
doubt. Yes, absolutely. And there's a lot of reasons to get into fights, but let me give you somebody who's to blame for this ultimately, besides Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson.
Who?
And that's whoever the commissioner of the league was.
Right.
You allowed this to get out of control. I have been the commissioner for 2 fantasy football leagues now for about a decade. I rule with an iron fist.
Yeah.
Okay? If somebody tries to do something illegal in my fantasy league, I don't wait for guys to argue about it. I shut it down immediately.
Sure.
We have strict rules. I have a constitution, believe it or not. We have a constitution in the rules of my fantasy league.
Did either guy do anything to violate those rules?
I mean, it's a he said, she said about these rules because Jock Peterson claims that other guys had done the same thing, and I believe that was proven true. So I can't say for sure because I don't know their league constitution.
When a guy's injured, though, you're allowed to put him on IR. That's how it goes.
Can we also talk about the fact that this happened how long ago, and he's still hot about fantasy football?
It's probably the first time they'd seen each other.
Yeah.
Right, but still, imagine trying to stay mad about something so
carried that
trivial
for
for that time.
Pham claimed he was most mad about him taking a shot at the Padres. I mean, you're a professional athlete. Don't you guys bust each other's
And
chops
now
all
you're on the
time?
Reds. They're way worse.
Now,
How you like life now?
Now, I'm gonna tell you what. All depends on what that buy-in is. If the buy-in is
real.
crazy,
it was real.
It get real. Like, hold on, and I'm right by you, and I'm up underneath the stand. It's the last week, and you make him.
And these are pro ball players
in the middle
too.
of the season. So I mean,
I don't see how anybody here can make any argument for Pham, no matter what the buy-in was.
Nah.
Peterson, by the way, had said that Pham considers himself a Las Vegas big player, I believe.
Oh.
And there was big money involved. Now, whatever that means, if big money for us and big money for major leaguers, it could have been like $10,000 buy-in.
What's the biggest money fantasy league you played in?
I've played in nothing over 250.
300.
Mine are 350.
Yeah, it was 300.
So all right, that's a good.
Yeah, but I'm guessing theirs was five
probably
figures. Theirs was five figures.
Or like a pair of diamond earrings or something.
But ultimately, even more so with that much money on the line, the commissioner's got to have control of the situation. The rules need to be clear.
So all of your blame goes to the commissioner.
Yes,
I can co-sign that.
But Pham also. I mean, you can't hit a guy.
I will say one thing in Pham's defense, and that is we've all been in leagues where the commissioner was trash like that. And for example, one of mine is a family league, and my sister's our commissioner, and she's complete trash at it. And she has this trade thing where if you want to drop a player and pick him up, you got to call her at home. You got to get Roger Goodell's permit. You have a notary public sign it, one of those things. So you're just screwed if it's last minute and something goes wrong.
Right.
And she's just I don't know how to fix that. I'm not changing it. So I can understand getting all worked up. I don't know if it's worth belting somebody 8 months later about, but it can get very frustrating.
We've had guys in my league threaten to fight each other over fantasy football. It's never come to it, but they have threatened to fight each other.
Yeah, that's way too serious.
Yeah, it is
People
crazy.
picking, and by the way, he picked and choose who he was going to put hands on. We all know that. Listen, there's not that many tough guys out here. He was tough for the right guy.
He wasn't hitting Aaron Judge.
Right.
He wasn't slapping Aaron Judge's face.
No.
And by the way, Peterson, I thought this was a lame move. Peterson broke out his phone to show media members text exchange.
Saw that.
That's just...
That also made me feel like it might have been staged maybe a little bit. Does that make anybody else feel?
Wait,
watch that interview with that dude. He looks like he's
We have
almost
some of
it's
it,
like
don't
a
we,
gag
Mike?
there
You want to play it or
pulling
no?
or something.
Are we out of time?
We could play this, but we got to wrap it up after. And
Yeah,
go to
no
break
final
before we go to
takes.
break.
That's fine.
Okay.
But anyways, I'm not saying that that's the case, but it was a bad performance by him in the post. And you're right. He shows
He's an
the
awkward
messages.
guy.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's
Yeah,
the
he
case.
is. He's a different cat for sure.
He shows the
Go ahead and
messages.
play the interview. It's
All
funny.
right, Steve, let's play 1:30.
He's so dead serious
Come
about
up to
it.
you, talk, or was there an argument before he slept?
No, there was no real argument. He kind of came up and said, I don't know, you remember from last year? And I was like, fantasy football? And he's like, yeah. Yeah.
Where did he sleep? I mean, across the street.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the cheek.
Yeah, what did you do?
Nothing. There was a decent amount of people around, and didn't get emotional, and don't think violence is the answer, I guess you could say. So I kind of
He almost seems like he's stoned.
left the situation.
Why is he talking about it this long? That's my question.
Some other players were
I would
out
just
there.
be that was just in between us. It was stupid.
When the bench is
got
clear,
anything
but
else?
it was
I love that he did
batting
that.
practice,
I thought it
and
was a great story.
But that's
there
what makes me
was
think that
nothing more
made
to
it
it.
more of a
Like I said,
story
it
by
was an
talking this way.
unfortunate situation for over a.
We're just sitting there watching this saying, why did he acknowledge this for so long? The interview was 3 minutes.
just be like, yeah, that happened. It was stupid.
man.
I'd rather move on.
He need to catch him when he ain't looking. It's time. I'm catching him. You got me in public. I'm not going to stop until I get you back.
Pham got suspended 3 games, by the way.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
over
a fantasy football beef.
And and just a reminder of how many baseball games there are in a season. That you can just be like, I got suspended 3 games for fantasy football violation.
That means I'm going to play 159.
Sad sign for baseball that the biggest story of the week in baseball is a fantasy football.
That's the other problem with this.
That moves the meter.
Yeah.
Fantasy football moves the meter more than baseball does these days.
That's crazy.
I'm ready to make a ruling, and I've amended my ruling after hearing your argument, Counselor Adam. I thought you made a great point about the commissioner has to take some of the responsibility here. First and foremost, I'm putting 85% of this blame on Pham.
Yes.
It's a fantasy football thing. We all want to win. We get it. Your feelings are hurt because he called you a cheater. But in reality, Peterson, didn't do anything wrong. He put a player that was hurt on IR. You're allowed to do that. Look it up. It's part of the deal. So the bulk of the blame goes to Pham. I'm putting 10% on the commissioner. He could have manned up and made this not so big of a deal. And I'm putting 5% of the blame on Peterson just for his, like you said, I'm just really not cool with him talking to media as long
What's
as he
he
did.
doing?
He made it a legitimate thing.
Who cares?
And he answered many questions.
Yeah.
And the other thing was he showed a text chain to a reporter.
Yeah.
See, he's a bad guy.
I like that. We like
I don't like
when
that.
the players take us inside.
I don't like that. Let's
Let's
just make a rule here. If we ever get into beef and Cleveland.com comes and asks you what you think of me, please don't show them any of our text chains.
I wouldn't.
No.
Okay, those are kind of private.
But I won't show them real ones. I'll show ones that I
But the
made
diff-
that
those
look
are good.
even more
The
ridiculous.
You're good at that too, by the way.
The difference is we are friends. We have a relationship. He and Tommy
Right.
Pham didn't even know each other.
No, they were just in a fantasy league together, and it got sideways.
Yeah.
And that can happen. All right, we're gonna do bad takes. Are we doing worst take of the
We're
weekend?
going to skip worst take of the weekend for Tom.
Gone.
We're going to go to weight loss, though.
All right, let's go to weight
Oh,
loss. No break. Let's just do weight loss right here. So we had the weigh-in today.
Yeah.
These were the weights. What were these? The original weights? No, these were
This
the
was
weights
last week.
last week. So Bull had lost 13
13
pounds.
pounds. Yeah.
Bull's first weigh-in, he was 315. He came in after 1 week. He dropped 13 pounds. We were all stunned. Steve, our executive producer, asked, did he have rocks in his pocket at his initial weigh-in?
That would have been smart. That would have been smart.
That's funny, Steve.
Yeah, it was good, Steve.
Steel-toed boots.
And G. Bush had a very respectable 6.5 pound weight loss.
It's a healthy child.
So Bull clearly won week 1, but as we go to the week 2 weigh-ins, do we have? You want to roll the tape of this?
We got video. Yep, let's roll the video.
All right, let's roll the video of today's weigh-in.
I think it's 339 and a half.
Yeah, that's it. 339 and a half. So you lost a pound. Good job.
1 whole pound.
So you were at 340. Now you're at 339.
I lost 13 last week, right?
Right.
So I started at 315. That means I was 302. I think I gained a pound. 303. Yeah. 303. I gained a pound. Bad week for me. Ooh.
We see the second week. It's always that second. See, when you losing that water weight, you be like, oh, this is feeling great. Man, you know, it's all about the grind.
Yeah, reality.
Here's the thing.
I get back to the grind.
Yeah, reality kicks in. I do think, I don't know if there should be, I am in the judge costume still. I'm almost want to make a ruling that he came to the weigh-in in shorts. Like, I think
that's true. That's
if
cheating.
he wore exactly what he has on now, he may have been a wash.
I mean, I got
pulled the Jock Peterson.
Hey, I got a lot. My jeans tight as hell. Like, so this is.
But
like
they are
this
heavier
like,
than shorts.
This like spandex. It's like one material. I will say no. To me, no one won this week.
Right, it was kind of a wash.
I mean, it's a wash, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already up 13 the first week. So for me, I was trying. When you got the holiday, you just try to
Memorial
maintain.
Day weekend.
We trying to tread water.
I had 6 pounds of ribs easy at the Berea Rib Cook-Off, no doubt. Well, you can't be held accountable for this last
just
year.
gained an ounce.
I had a great week until yesterday, and then as somebody tweeted it this morning. I think I saw a bull at Red Robin, and I was.
He thought it
You see that guilty look on his face?
By the way, when we were walking into Red Robin, I said to my wife, I said, it's been 11 years. I think today we're officially Midwestern.
Oh, yeah, Red Robin, no
Is that
doubt.
your first trip to Red Robin?
Yes.
You got to start wearing
endless fries kill you.
You got to start wearing a
I
trench
didn't
coat.
get any refills on the fries, though.
You gotta start,
really?
all fast food places, you got to start wearing a trench coat and a fake mustache when you go
This
in.
is nuts, man. hey, I went home.
One
for the
Jamocha
weekend,
shake, please.
And just yesterday, I had to get in a treadmill. I burned 1,500 calories.
Nice.
So let me tell you what it would have been.
Oh, so it would have been a gain.
Let me tell you what it would have looked like.
By the way, Saturday, I went for a walk at the Metro Parks. It was my best walk in a while. My Achilles had been bothering me for a while. I was able to do like 3.5 miles. It felt great. I ran into one guy who was a fan of the show, and I unbelievably can't remember his name. I should have written it down. I feel terrible.
We don't have many. We should know
It
all of
starts
the
with a
names
J.
by
I
heart.
think it was Jamal. I don't remember. Jerome. I can't.
So it's a white guy?
No, it was not a white guy. It was a black guy.
I don't know
His
no
name
white
starts with a
Jeromes.
J. He was such a nice guy. He was excited to meet me. I was excited to meet him because he was really super friendly and he'd been a big fan. And I wanted to say a shout out to him today, but like an idiot, I didn't write down his name and I forgot
That's
his
okay.
name.
We still
but
shout
he's
you
gonna
out,
know who he
whoever
is
you
out
are.
Do we
there.
have a person?
I feel
We
terrible.
do. Let's pull up 140, Steve. We have gotten a couple viewer submissions on the weight loss challenge. This is Mr.
Good,
Collins. He's trying to lose 50 pounds. This
Okay.
was week 1 to week 2, so keep sending them in.
Okay.
find a
No,
way
wait, I
to
can't really
incorporate
tell
that.
what happened from week 1 to week 2 because in week 1 I got a front shot and in week 2 I got a profile.
These are confusing choices.
We need
I'm pulling up the
Same
email
shirt,
right
too.
now. Hold on.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Tell him to give us the same angle next
Good luck,
week.
though, man. That's great. Thanks
Yeah,
for doing
we're,
it.
hey, we're
Everybody
glad
do
you're
it
doing
with
it,
us.
man.
Yep.
It's going to be a struggle at times, especially in the summer. There's all these events and
I know, we got
barbecues.
4th of
and
July
4th of
coming
July.
up.
My birthday's this weekend. There's a lot going on.
Big deal for all of us.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Are you celebrating my birthday this weekend?
I took the whole week off. No doubt.
It is Marcus Collins, by the way. He's down 4 pounds. And his
Okay.
gains
Good job,
to
Marcus.
Marcus
Shout out
Collins.
Marcus Collins.
Keep grinding,
sending us
man.
in.
Keep grinding.
And we got to go, but we're going to tape final takes as a YouTube exclusive.
Oh, wow.
So
The stream's
overtime.
going to end. UCSS overtime
All
will
right, very good.
commence.
All right.
Hope
But
YouTube's
before
ready.
we
Hope
go,
they can
we got
take
to
it.
tease tomorrow real quick.
Yeah, go ahead,
Take a
throw
look
it
at
up
this.
there. JT Barrett on the program? On this show.
JT Barrett.
On this
On
show.
this
It's
show.
not an impersonator.
Wow.
No.
It's JT
The
Barrett.
JT Barrett.
Big
This is
deal.
unbelievable.
That's huge.
Wow.
We're like a real show.
Mm-hmm.
And Leroy Hort is back. The fans, by the way, love Leroy Hort.
amazing.
I love Leroy Hort.
Yeah,
He's great.
Leroy is an incredible guy. So he's on tomorrow. Kareem Hunt's future. You say that Sexton's kind of the guy that fans are like trying to push out of town. I get the sense that there's a group of Browns fans that are trying to get rid of Kareem Hunt.
Maybe Njoku's
we got the Ernest Johnson now, and we've got the kid from Cincinnati.
It's G. Bush.
I know he is.
Yeah, we need to cut some room because of Njoku's contract.
Exactly.
I did one of Locked On Browns podcast that may have said Kareem Hunt could be the odd man out. That was it. It was just one, bro.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Strong words.
You got to own it. You got to own it.
Strong words.
And what was the last thing on that list?
Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, Jose Ramirez is he a top 5 ball player? Man, it's hard to argue against that. Bull was screaming at us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right.
I said, I'm not sure he's a top 5. I think he's a top 10, but I don't know he's a top 5. But man,
I don't know. There's been anybody more consistent over the last 5 years than him.
He's gonna. It's hard to win an MVP for a team that doesn't make the playoffs or isn't in the playoff chase. If things keep going, and you vote based on which player is most valuable to his team, it's a slam dunk.
Yeah. Mikey McNutt has messed it up. Never put a Guardians at the last. You know they're going to
we're going to talk.
It'll happen every time.
Cole and I will talk.
Big mistake on
All right, we're out of time. We're going to wrap up the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Leroy Horde, JT Barrett. It's going to be a great show. We'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, we're going to jump over to a little
Come see us on YouTube.
YouTube overtime. We're going to give today's final takes.
Powerful thoughts.
See you tomorrow.